special effects budget already blown, better use shadows.
Says this as if this isn't a special effect.
Dumbledore leaves Harry with his head relatives knowing full well they will abuse and mistreat him for years to come.
I don't think Dumbledore knew the Dursleys would lock Harry in the cupboard under the stairs. He knew they were annoying and had a stick up their asses, not that they were downright evil. Besides, the only way for Lily's magical protection to work is for Harry to be with a blood relative, Petunia Evans.
Snakes don't have eyelids.
They also can't speak a snake-only language, and brooms can't fly, and there's no such thing as magic, and trees don't beat your ass, and owls don't deliver mail.
Movie hits the bankers are trolls symbolism a little too on the nose.
That would be true if these were trolls. These are goblins. Trolls are much taller and stupider. Just ask your subscribers.
Hey, they said an owl, a cat, or a toad, but nobody said your magic animal could be a rat.
Imagine thinking the kids always follow the rules at school.
Hermione isn't old enough to be hot yet.
Wow. 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 Wow.
Harry switches sides of the table in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, it wasn't a matter of seconds. The feast began after all the children were sorted into their houses, so as more Gryffindor students were added to the table, Harry decided to move to the other side.
So Hogwarts is basically a death trap turned into a school.
So is your point that there are stairs? You know every single more than one-story building has stairs, right? Right?
Co-ed dorms for 11-year-olds.
The dorms in Hogwarts are not co-ed. I mean, the scene you're speaking over confirms that.
Welcome to the Gryffindor common room. Boys' dormitories upstairs and down to your left. Girls, the same on your right.
Harry takes notes in poetic couplets.
He's literally jotting down what Snape is saying. What are you talking about?
Snape takes points from Gryffindor because a little kid who just found out he's a wizard like a day ago doesn't know all the answers to the wizard questions. Snape is a dick.
This is not a sin. This is who Snape is. He was tormented by James Potter when they were at Hogwarts, so he's taking it out on his son. You are sinning how this character is characterized. If you had it your way, there would be no antagonists ever, because they're all dicks, and apparently dicks existing in a story is a sin.
You would not leave a group of 11-year-old students alone like this, whether they were wizards or not.
Jeremy has never been 11 years old in school. I have, and if a student needed immediate medical attention, they would leave the room to help.
Staircase changes randomly at a time convenient to the plot.
What does that mean? Convenient to the plot? The way you're phrasing this sounds as if the plot is something predestined to happen, and this staircase is simply following the plan. No, the plot only happens because of these events. These events don't happen because of the plot. You've got it backwards, is what I'm saying.
You're saying it wrong.
Hey, Bossy Pants, he said it right, okay? It was Draco who said it wrong, you nag.
He absolutely did not say it right. Ron said, Wingardium Leviosa.
Wingardium Leviosa. Stop.
Why are they running from a f***ing cat?
Because that's Filch's cat, Mrs. Norris. This cat is Randall from Recess, a goddamn snitch.
They can't wave a wand and give a boy a respectable set of teeth?
That's Britsist.
Why can't the teachers use their magic to decorate for Christmas so that Hagrid doesn't have to do so much manual labor?
Maybe Hagrid likes cutting down Christmas trees. I mean, this is a guy that keeps giant pet tarantulas and smuggles dragons. I'm gonna go with Hagrid likes this stuff.
See, they even f***ing use magic to decorate the tree.
But I mean, Flitwick has to use magic to decorate the tree. Just look at him.
The restricted section of the library isn't very restricted.
Neither is the adult section of the video store. At least this library has a lock.
Doesn't the use of the lantern sort of negate the benefits of the invisibility cloak?
Not really. The only problem would be as if someone sees the lantern, and in that instance, Harry would likely be alerted to their presence, in which case all he has to do is yank the lantern back in.
Exactly how f***ing tall is Harry supposed to be?
According to the books, pretty f***ing tall. It's a wonder they hired Daniel, who, even in 2013, is only 5'5" as a grown man. Heck, he could even play Wolverine if Disney got their heads out of their asses and bought Fox. Maybe one day.
I trust by now you realize what it does. Let me give you a clue.
Wait, do I realize it already, or do I need a clue?
Oh, you definitely need a clue.
Dude, you are a wizard. Try some magic, maybe, or throw a stick.
Harry has only recently learned that he is a wizard, and he is in his first year as a student learning how to be a wizard. He has spent 11 years being bullied by regular people. Why the hell do you expect him to already know defensive magic and to even think to use it in this moment?
Voldemort will be strong again. He'll come back.
How is he in the forest drinking unicorn blood and nearly killing you, but he's not already labeled as back?
Probably because he's essentially a malignant tumor on the back of a dude's head. I can't imagine too many people would watch a movie about that.
Petrificus Totalis.
Awesome spell. Make sure you never use it again.
Someone hasn't seen Order of the Phoenix, The Half-Blood Prince, and Deathly Hallows.
This camera angle is not appropriate.
But why? For whom? She's wearing pantyhose and you can't see literally anything. Besides, I think you're the one in the wrong here for thinking this hard about this in order to point it out. I mean, what was it you said?
Hermione isn't old enough to be hot yet. So the bad guy who beat them here just left the key behind?
Yeah. Haven't you ever played Resident Evil?
I really don't think that should have hurt him that much. I mean, he basically just fell down.
I agree. Falling from not-so-high places shouldn't hurt humans that much. But why am I getting the urge to still sin you for this? I can't put my finger on it, but I really feel like I should sin you for saying this. Oh well.
You're a great wizard.
Listen, if Harry's such a great wizard, he would have performed at least one spell in this movie.
Being a great wizard doesn't mean one is great with spells. Harry was born a wizard. It's what he is. Besides, he definitely performed magic in this movie. Remember, he was one of the few broom riders to naturally get the hang of calling his broom to his hand? Harry is a wizard on the broomstick.
Pause.
Does the book explain how the Sorcerer's Stone ends up in Harry's pocket? Because the movie's kind of all you about it.
Yes, the book does explain. The Sorcerer's Stone is a magical object. The enchantment on it prevents anyone that intends to use it from ever finding it. It will come to those that only want to protect it and not use it.
Only a person who wanted to find the stone but not use it would be able to get it.
That's cute, but it still doesn't explain how the stone ended up in his f***ing pocket.
Jeremy, it's a magical object. The entire movie has been showing you these kids learning about magic enchantments. Do you seriously need an explanation for magic right now?
Honestly, I'm kind of with Malfoy here. Slytherin's getting screwed.
Jeremy cares about Slytherin. That's worth these many sins.
Why are the kids in Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff throwing their hats in the air like they won something?
I'm so glad you asked. Page 306. Which means we need a little change of decoration. Dumbledore called over the storm of applause, for even Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff were celebrating the downfall of Slytherin. In other words, f*** Slytherin.
Abracadabra, nigga. Expecto Patronum on a nigga. What? If Mo-Fi gon' run up on me, then I'ma put my wand to the...
Having a "the books do not matter" banner at the top of your video in order to shield yourself from having to do any research on these characters through reading. The books absolutely matter, especially in the first couple of Harry Potter films, where the dialogue is damn near lifted from the books word for word. Tell me, why is Harry Potter a Caucasian male from England and not an Asian woman from Thailand? It's because the book said so. Therefore, the book is the basis from which literally everything in this movie derives. Only until the movies tell you otherwise do you not consult the books on anything. The screenwriter did not create these characters. J.K. Rowling did.
I can't let you out, Hedwig. I'm not allowed to use magic outside of school.
Harry tells Hedwig he can't use magic to open the cage to let him out, but there's a key in the lock. Is turning a key magic?
First of all, Hedwig is a female, so you mean let her out. Second, you're not understanding the context here. Vernon, since he assumes Hedwig is a magical creature, especially since she can deliver mail, which no ordinary owl can do, the assumption will be that Harry is doing magic at home, which will get him into trouble.
Hang on. How do you know my friends haven't been writing to me?
How does a house elf like Dobby get out of the house so often to steal letters from Harry's friends? Has he been wandering around outside snatching owls out of the air?
This movie clearly shows that Dobby can perform magic. He not only is able to curse a bludger, but levitate a cake and apparate with the snap of his fingers. Do you really need an explanation for how he snuck out of the Malfoy house and intercepted mail?
There's no way in hell Harry hears this flying car. The only way he could have been woken up just in time to see it is, you guessed it, magic.
Nonsense. The scene you're talking over clearly shows that the car is making noise. The closed captions literally prove that.
Ron. Fred. George.
Thanks for the roll call, Harry.
Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
Yep, Ron, Fred, and George are home, but so are a host of other Weasleys, so where are they on this GPS system?
The problem with your question is that you only have half the information you need because you can't see the rest of the clock. Here is the full clock. You can see that one of the locations on the clock is bed.
Dad works in the Ministry of Magic.
Harry and Ron had a whole year to get to know each other, and Ron's dad's job never came up?
You realize they were very much preoccupied with finding out what Fluffy was guarding most of the year, right? Not only that, why would you ask what your friend's father's job is? Why is that the business of an 11-year-old? What?
And who are you?
Seriously? One of the most famous wizards in all the land, and Arthur Weasley, who works with the government, hasn't even so much as seen a picture of Harry?
It's almost like Arthur Weasley is characterized as being only interested in muggles and their daily affairs. It's not like Harry has a very distinctive-looking face, especially with his scar hidden. Heck, you could show me Billie English and I couldn't pick her out of a lineup of thick white women because I'm not interested in what she produces.
This lot won't come cheap, Mum.
Is there any reason this family full of magical wizards still has to be poor? Like, can they not use a textbook creating spell or something? I mean, we've got self-cleaning pots and pans here, people. What could this family possibly need money for?
What could they possibly need money for? Did you not just see they needed books and equipment for their 7 children? I don't care how much magic you got. 9 mouths to feed is enough to bankrupt nearly anyone. Arthur Weasley is the only one in this family that works, and Molly had been proven to be irresponsible with money by the 3rd book. They're using magic to clean those pots and pans, but they still had to buy those.
Diagonally.
Wouldn't Harry have to be, like, American to mispronounce Diagon Alley the way he does?
No, actually English, considering Diagon Alley is a play on the English pronunciation of the word diagonally. This is why Harry mispronounces it, because he spent most of his life as a normal Brit. An American would say Diagon Alley, because our pronunciation of the word alley uses the short A vowel sound. The English pronunciation is a homophone of the name Ellie, hence this scene.
Harry just happens to get accidentally sent to a place where he can overhear the Malfoys being evil.
Usually your coincidence sins are annoying, but this one is especially egregious because this is a red herring. In a deleted scene, you literally fell for the okie doke in a scene that's not even a part of the film canon and are treating it as a sin.
This run through the brick is cute and all, but are we honestly supposed to believe that no muggles ever see this and freak the out, calling 999 to report the redheaded kids who just completely evaporated in broad daylight?
Do you hear yourself? Think about it for just a moment. You pick up the phone, dial emergency services, and tell them you just saw people run through a brick wall and disappear. After you hear them hang up in your face, what's your next move? Because the only people that will print your story are tabloids, and the only people that take those seriously are the men in black.
Like, for instance, these muggles here who clearly see Harry and Ron's failed attempt at going through the brick.
Yes, but notice how they only noticed because there was a failed attempt? You know, a loud crash and 2 boys spilling all over the place?
Pause.
If they'd have gone through, even people who might have noticed would have thought they'd gone on the other side of the pillar. Are you telling me you're always watching where people are going in the airport? You can barely pay attention to children's films.
This car doesn't get dented or crushed at all. Now, you can tell me it's a magical car and that it can't get damaged, but then I'll tell you that the f***ing car only crashed because it was damaged somehow.
More like because the scene you're showing is only of the forward crashing into the thinner branches. This car is mostly made of steel, and these thin branches aren't enough to damage the car significantly. However...
Oh, now the tree can dent the car.
This is one of the thickest parts of the tree purposefully slamming into the vehicle. Clearly, this is going to cause far more damage than branches, Jeremy.
I know they had a brief adventure with the tree, but why are they so much later in arriving than the students who were on the train, which they followed here, and presumably arrived at the same time?
You just answered yourself. They were getting walloped by the Whomping Willow. Then the Fords spat their trunks and luggage out of the car, which they would have then had to lug to the castle. They aren't that much behind, seeing as how the other students' luggage is still in the hall.
In this shot, there are panels open everywhere in this greenhouse, including a huge beanstalk or something coming out of this one. But then when the camera actually goes down into the greenhouse, none of the panels are open.
Except you're literally showing a scene of the tree going out of one of the panels right here.
Mandrake or Mandragora?
So CinemaSins, the channel that complains when movies don't tell them anything, is making fun of Hermione for giving the audience extremely important information that will prove useful later.
So wait, one mandrake scream causes the whole class to put their hands over their ears while wearing earmuffs, but 30 mandrakes all screaming at once brings no discomfort whatsoever.
When Jeremy was writing this sin, he clearly was looking at his keyboard and not Ron's face.
I don't quite understand. If you're Lockhart and you're a well-known author who has women throwing themselves at you and you're this vain, why would you take a low-paying job as a teacher at Hogwarts?
Because Dumbledore invited him to expose him using the famous Harry Potter as bait. As you said, he's vain and thought teaching Harry would further his career. Besides, when Dumbledore asks you to Civil War, you Civil War, goddammit. Okay, you know what I mean.
Gilderoy Lockhart Inception painting.
Furthering the misconception of what the word inception means.
A little quiz.
Doesn't Hogwarts set a curriculum? Like, how can professors come in and give quizzes about themselves to the students without that getting out and the professor getting reprimanded?
Why are you sending deleted scenes? How can the books not matter but non-canon scenes do?
Great Scott, no wonder. Look at the time. We've been here nearly 4 hours.
Okay, Harry was in detention with Lockhart for 4 hours, and then gets out late at night, conveniently bumps into his 2 friends, and then bam! All the kids in the entire school happen upon the scene at that exact moment.
Yes, because as was explained in the film, Ron and Hermione were at dinner with the rest of these students, and once it was over, went to look for Harry. This is why they all ended up here. They're returning to their dorms.
Perhaps Potter and his friends were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. However, the circumstances are suspicious. I, for one, don't recall seeing Potter at dinner.
I'm afraid that's my doing, Severus. You see, Harry was helping me answer my fan mail.
That's why Ron and I went looking for him, Professor. We just found him when he said...
Yes, Miss Granger?
When I said I wasn't hungry. We were heading back to the common room when we found Mrs. Norris.
Does McGonagall write backwards on the chalkboard to make learning even more of a challenge for her students?
I see you conveniently cut out the part that shows Minerva's other chalkboard isn't backwards, meaning this fits the theme of transfiguration. Get it?
We will be transforming animals into water goblets.
Ah, another super useful spell. That's something you probably need on an everyday basis.
It's amazing to me how much you need your handheld. These are second-year students, Jeremy. They are learning the basics of transfiguration. Therefore, they learn something simple like turning a bird into a cup and then build on that concept from there. It's exactly like learning addition so that subtraction and multiplication later make sense.
The air alone would be able to open the chamber and unleash the horror within, and by so doing, purge the school of all those who, in Slytherin's view, were unworthy to study magic.
Like Filch's cat?
But Mrs. Norris isn't dead. She's petrified, meaning she only saw the basilisk. Ginny, being possessed by Voldemort, hung the cat here as an example. The spiel McGonagall just went on was all about being killed by the basilisk. Genius?
Why would the school allow Ron to keep performing magic with this wand? It seems like it would be a danger to himself and everyone around him.
It's not that they are letting him, it's that they don't know. Ron hasn't told anyone about it because it was broken during the flight to the school. Beyond that, we've already established that Ron is poor. This wand was a hand-me-down anyway, so it's not like he can just take a trek down to Ollivander's.
And why doesn't a school full of magical items have, like, a spare wand lying around somewhere that this poor bastard can use?
Because, as we've already established, the wand chooses the wizard, which is what happened with Ron's hand-me-down. Remember Harry basically destroying Ollivander's shop in the first movie? You'd have to be an exceptional wizard to use someone else's wand without it choosing you, and do we think that applies to second-year Ronald Weasley?
No one ever comes in here.
Why?
Moaning Myrtle.
How incredibly convenient for our heroes, and how terribly inconvenient for all the girls in the school to have their bathroom choices narrowed down.
Yes, how convenient that there's an area in a gigantic castle that allows a witch and 2 wizards to make a potion.
What's bad? If I hadn't told that snake not to attack Justin...
Yes, there was absolutely no one who could have stopped that snake from attacking Justin. I mean, no one.
Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
The snake monster in the Chamber of Secrets must be waiting weeks between victims. We had the cat, then the picture kid, then the dark-haired dude, and it's Christmas. Isn't he on some kind of crusade to kill all the mudbloods?
First of all, that's racist. Second, Lil Voldy is using Ginny for these terror attacks. This means the only time she can be possessed is when she's writing in Tom Riddle's diary. This explains the relative lack of action because it's all due to Ginny's willingness to express her feelings in the book.
Man, it sure is lucky there's a time and place to catch Crabbe and Goyle walking alone in the hallways and trick them with floating cupcake bait.
Yes, how convenient that there's a time where Crabbe and Goyle are without Malfoy. Because, as we all know, they're never apart ever, even when they pee. Because apparently, Malfoy's there to shake it for them.
Follow the spiders.
Hagrid tells the kids to go into the dark forest, which he surely knows has a bunch of ravenous spiders waiting to kill them. And for what?
Hagrid never opened the Chamber of Secrets.
To clear his name? The defense calls to the stand? This giant spider. He'll clear it up.
Well, yeah, to clear his name. It's a big plot point in this story. I think you and others fail to realize that every book in the Harry Potter franchise is a mystery novel. Hagrid being exonerated is a cornerstone of the genre. Also, Hagrid has been characterized as loving and understanding relatively dangerous animals. So, he is under the assumption that Aragog will not harm them and will explain that he was mistaken for Slytherin's monster in the past. This leads to the revelation that these spiders are afraid of the basilisk, an important development later.
I believe in magic cars with invisibility buttons. I really do. But I don't believe in a magic car that somehow knows its owner is in danger and comes roaring in to save the day.
It's almost like it doesn't matter what you believe because that's what happened. This car was clearly shown to have a personality when it spat Harry and Ron out of itself when they drove into the Whomping Willow. They then showed the car driving into the dark forest, setting up this payoff.
But if it kills by looking people in the eye, why is it no one's dead?
Because no one did look it in the eye. Colin saw it through his camera. Justin must have seen the basilisk through nearly head to Snick. And Hermione had the mirror.
And Mrs. Norris?
There was water on the floor that night.
This is the most convenient and luckiest set of circumstances ever for numerous characters to defy death.
Yeah, and this is how Joanne wrote the story. But you know what's even more convenient and lucky? That you are all here watching this video. Out of the quintillions of sperm cells, it just so happened to be us, in this moment, experiencing now, when just one of those cells being different would have changed this entire equation. Do you see how calling things convenient and lucky doesn't mean it would never happen?
Spiders flee before it.
This page about the basilisk clearly states that the crowing of the rooster can kill it. But instead of seeing that important information, Harry focuses on the spiders flee from it and ends up going into the Chamber of Secrets completely roosterless.
That's kind of part and parcel for a Gryffindor, though, isn't it? Jumping into the fray to save one's friends without really thinking it through, like, say, a Ravenclaw would. There's a reason they have these houses, Jeremy. They serve a narrative purpose to show you the kind of personalities these characters have. The real sin is that they found the Chamber of Secrets but didn't immediately tell McGonagall or Snape, not that they didn't bring a goddamn chicken to a snake fight.
Who is it that the monster's taken, Minerva?
Ginny Weasley.
How does she know which student was taken? The message just says her without mentioning a name.
I think Jeremy is forgetting that McGonagall is the head of Gryffindor House and would know if one of her students were missing. Also, there was a scene where Minerva stated quite clearly that no child would be without a chaperone, meaning if a student is missing, they would be the one that was taken. How hard do you think it is to do a head count, my dude?
Well, I must say, when I took the job...
It's completely illogical that Dumbledore would ever have hired a bumbling, useless wizard like Lockhart to be any kind of teacher at Hogwarts.
Then you don't know Dumbledore. Even if you want to discount the books, it's clear that Albus hired him to expose who he really was. This is how Dumbledore operates throughout the entire series. Why is this a problem again?
How does a memory generated from a diary pick up Harry's wand? So how did Fawkes the Phoenix get past the spot where the rocks caved in and blocked the path?
I'm so glad you asked. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, page 207. It's a shame you had to see him on a burning day, said Dumbledore, seating himself behind his desk. He's really very handsome most of the time. Wonderful red and gold plumage. Fascinating creatures, phoenixes. They can carry immensely heavy loads. Their tears have healing powers, and they make highly faithful pets.
No, that's not gonna work.
Future Birdman? What are you doing here? You're not a Gryffindor. How did you get the password to our common room?
What? This is a green screen. Lights there, there's lights over there, microphones right here. It's cool, but we ain't at Hogwarts. Look, the point is that Jeremy's gonna do the whole books don't matter thing, so let's roll actual footage of Dumbledore saying it in the film.
Fascinating creatures, phoenixes. They can carry immensely heavy loads, and their tears of healing powers.
More, what about that snake door that Harry had to speak Parseltongue to open? The door clearly closes behind him.
Fawkes also has the ability to apparate within the walls of Hogwarts. You know this because you made this video in 2013, and Order of the Phoenix, where this ability was shown, came out in 2007.
I have no intention of going to Azkaban.
Enough of this. Take him!
You must have shown me real loyalty down in the chamber. Nothing but that could have called Fawkes to you.
Well, it's either that or the convenient storytelling.
But this was explained in the film. Dumbledore explicitly states that help will be offered to those that need it in his absence. He was very clearly referring to Fawkes. Nothing about this is convenient because it was set up prior.
So the rule is the house elf becomes free when the master presents him with clothes. Is this really presenting clothes to Dobby? Does Malfoy have to specify every time he gives Dobby a basket of laundry? Now, these aren't your clothes, Dobby. These are for cleaning. This is all accidental and without the master's knowledge. This rule and this loophole are stupid.
The point is that Malfoy gives Dobby the sock with no intention of ever keeping the sock for himself. In other words, that sock does not belong to Malfoy in the way that his laundry does. Presenting a house elf with socks in this way is a loophole Hermione tried to exploit later on.
I know we want to have a nice Dobby saves Harry moment here at the end, but was Lucius Malfoy seriously about to use the death curse on Harry right here outside Dumbledore's office?
I just would like to point out here that Jeremy is assuming Lucius is attempting the killing curse. He's right, as Malfoy is trying to kill Harry here, but Jeremy would only have knowledge of the killing curse if he's read the books or seen the fourth film, because that curse isn't revealed until then. So, of course, this means the morons that want to come to CinemaSins' defense over me using Order of the Phoenix 3 sins ago can kiss my ass.
Goodbye, Dumbledore. Hope you don't look and sound completely different next time I see you.
What an amazingly insensitive sin. This man died. Have some fucking respect. I guess this opens the door for me to continue sinning your videos if you perish before I do, eh? Look who's eating the apple now.
Gotcha.
Happy Halloween.
These assholes are still sending Harry back to live with abusive people during the summer?
Because of this bit. Witch. Not really witch. Muggle, but you know what I mean. Petunia was Harry's only living blood relative, and Lily's sacrifice affords Harry protection against Voldemort as long as he was accepted into a blood relative's home.
How the f*** is Harry doing this? He didn't pull out a wand. He didn't utter any spell names, so why does he have to use that shit ever if he can silently will a person he doesn't like to bloat up and float away?
Wands simply allow a magical person to channel their innate magical ability. Literally in the first movie, Hagrid asked Harry had he ever caused supernatural events to happen without realizing it, and you should know that because you've already seen that movie. Also, incantations aren't exactly necessary to cast spells and curses in the Harry Potter universe. Wandless and silent magic has been a thing in all the books and films. I mean, they literally teach nonverbal spells in the 6th year at Hogwarts.
It's pretty damn convenient that the magic bus shows up literally just as Harry's about to have a confrontation with the dog. Or inconvenient because that was his godfather who loves him. And a lot of worry and mystery could have been alleviated if the bus had simply been 3 minutes slower.
Yeah, but that isn't how mystery novels work now, is it? It's weird to me that a person would consume mystery media and want that mystery to be revealed in the first 10 minutes of that story. Besides, it's not convenient that the bus showed up. It's literally a bus that comes to stranded wizards. In other words, it's magic, not convenience.
But the Muggles, can't they see us? Muggles? They don't see nothing, do they?
All that bullshit with Ron, Harry, the flying car, and the Muggles was a bunch of bullshit.
It wasn't. All this is Shunpike glossing over the invisibility charm that is clearly shown on the bus at the beginning of the scene. The car in Chamber of Secrets was seen because the invisibility booster was faulty.
Looking forward to a new term? Yeah, should be great.
Right, because every other year at Hogwarts has been peachy.
Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
Why would I go looking for someone who wants to kill me?
Oh, I don't know. The events of the last 2 movies might lead someone to think that.
Except it didn't happen in either movie. In Philosopher's Stone, Harry wanted to find out what Fluffy was guarding as he suspected Snape wanted it. He did not think Snape was trying to kill him. In Chamber of Secrets, no one was trying to kill Harry. Tom Riddle's spirit was trying to rid the school of mudbloods. Harry is a half-blood, meaning he was safe. The only reason you're saying this is because you have prior knowledge of the later films, which is weird considering you didn't know why Harry had to continue living with the Dursleys, something that was explained in the books and the films by the time you made this video.
Come on, everywhere else is full.
You've checked 4 compartments.
No, you only saw them check 4 compartments. The scene started with Harry in the middle of a conversation about blowing up Miss Trunchbull. Clearly there was more to the scene than what we saw.
Who do you think that is?
Professor R.J. Lupin.
Since when do professors ride along with students on the train to Hogwarts?
Jeremy, this is the 3rd movie and only the 2nd one to show the passengers on the train. They are obviously establishing that sometimes professors can use the train to Hogwarts. I mean, it's just a train. Calm down, Karen.
Sirius Black has escaped from Azkaban to come after you.
No kid this age would ever tell important secrets to their friends in this close proximity to a teacher, even if they thought that teacher was asleep.
What? Where are you getting this? When was this established? Who are you speaking for?
Why is Gamora?
Well, it sure is lucky they picked the one compartment where a professor just happened to be sleeping.
Yeah, or else the entire movie wouldn't exist. That's kind of how things work. You know, it sure is lucky that Harry Potter never got hit by a car during his time with the Dursleys. Otherwise, Voldemort would have returned to power. You get it? That's not luck, that's the story. If a potential protagonist dies before the story even happened, there wouldn't be a story to tell about that protagonist, so he must have survived for the story to have been told.
When did the Hogwarts choir learn this song? During their summer break? This is the first night of school.
That's a weird question, especially because these aren't first-year students. I mean, even the protagonists of this film are in their 3rd year, so obviously these students were a part of the choir at least since last year. The fact that this is the first night has nothing to do with anything.
Unlike the Oracle, the new Dumbledore feels no need to explain his altered appearance.
It's almost like this isn't the Matrix or something. Frankly, this is how you do it. If you lose an actor due to death or another circumstance, recast the character and move on. Marvel could learn a thing or two regarding Black Panther. You mean they should recast T'Challa, right? Oh, I meant Letitia, but yeah, T'Challa too.
A word of caution. Dementors are vicious creatures.
This warning came just in time.
That's an interesting position you've got there, Mr. Why Are Professors on the Train? What, did you expect Dumbledore to also be on the Hogwarts Express giving this warning then? Dementors are independent wardens of a magical prison. They don't answer to anyone at this school and were doing their job looking for Goku Black.
taking the form of a giant spectral dog. It's among the darkest omens in our world.
I'd be scared, except Harry faces death every year and lives, so this is really just another day.
Out of Harry's 13 years of living, his first, 11th, and 12th years were the only ones he's faced danger so far. That means 77% of the time, he's fine.
You're supposed to stroke it.
Ah, the things you learn at the age of 13.
Jeremy implies boner.
Anything that flies in the Harry Potter universe is contractually obligated to do some soaring laps over Hogwarts Castle.
Jeremy hates flying over Hogwarts Castle.
Hermione isn't old enough to be hot yet.
Doubling down on the pedo jokes, eh? You might as well say, she has grass on the field, play ball. They both mean the same thing. A 40-year-old dude thinks it's appropriate to speak this way about a 12-year-old. Oh, and for the morons that like to try correcting me on ages and dates, like the silly-ass people that got upset when I referred to Return of the Jedi's effects being a product of the year they were made, this movie began filming when Emma Watson was 12. She was 13 when it finished and 14 when it released. It's a shame that I have to point this out, but I've learned people only hear what they want to hear and not what I actually said. How's that, Alex Durain, you little bitch?
Black could be anywhere.
That's racist.
Yeah, but aren't you white calling a black dude an Uncle Tom? That's racist.
No one knows.
When'd she get here?
If Hermione is using a time travel device so that she can be in two places at once, why would Ron notice anything abnormal?
Because she wasn't there a second ago? I feel like that's self-explanatory, but here's a screenshot anyway.
Ridiculous!
Holy shit, she just turned that cobra into something even scarier. Why is everyone laughing?
Because clowns are only scary to something like 7.8% of the population? You know, pussies.
That's enough for today. If you'd all like to collect your books.
No one else gets a turn because Harry bogarted the boggart.
Hey guys, here's a sin of Prisoner of Azkaban. They're getting on with the plot and not showing me something that has nothing to do with that plot, which, even if they did, I would complain about it.
Your mother, Lily's.
Oh, yes. I knew her.
This dude totally f***ed your mom, Harry.
Yelling at the screen cliche.
Not a single professor inside this castle would help Sirius Black to enter it.
There is no way these two would have this conversation right in front of students who are notorious for faking sleep in order to eavesdrop.
Except that's precisely something Dumbledore would do, considering what he's doing here is reassuring the students that they are safe. Like, that's literally the point.
It sure is fortunate that the Minister of Magic and Professor McGonagall decided to visit this random pub owner so that Harry could hear some extremely crucial information he could use later.
This takes a bit of explaining. The Three Broomsticks is a popular pub in Hogsmeade and a place where adults can go to do a bit of drinking and socializing. McGonagall is here as the chaperone of the students on a trip to Hogsmeade. Fudge is not exactly on the best terms with Dumbledore, so he came here to speak to Minerva about the situation with Sirius Black. Rosmerta is the pub owner, so when the Minister of Magic visits her pub, she offers him a private room to serve them drinks, and here is where they all chat. It all makes sense when you're not trying to boil this down to something simplistic.
Character who really needs glasses loses glasses during crucial action sequence cliche.
But wouldn't it be more ridiculous if his glasses didn't fly off? I mean, he was getting tossed around like a Kardashian at a black frat party.
Oh, man. If he would only fallen right side up. Oh, well. Maybe next time, Harry.
These are children, Jared the subway guy.
I found him. I know. It's him. I understand.
Let's kill him. Come on, let's kill him.
What's with the pronoun game? Why scare the kid when you mean to kill the rat?
Because they know who the f they're talking about. The pronoun game only applies when the listener doesn't know who the speaker is referring to. Don't you know your own running gags?
Severus, please.
Well, there goes the theory that you need your own personal wand to make magic.
It's almost like there was an entire book dedicated to the concept of the Elder Wand 7 years before you even made this video. And you can't even make a Books Don't Matter reference because the first Deathly Hallows film came out 4 years before you made this video. And did you forget you literally argued for Ron to use another wand in the Chamber of Secrets video, you cherry-picking ass?
So what was all that bullshit in the last movie with Ron's broken wand and the school not giving him a replacement?
Oh, so you didn't forget. But I guess you just forgot about Deathly Hallows being the third biggest movie of 2010, and apparently you were the only person on Earth that didn't see it, right? Give me a fucking break.
Also, why is Harry's disarming spell so strong that it blasts Snape across the room, while Snape and Lupin's disarming spell merely disarmed the person?
Why, oh why, is Jeremy pretending he didn't see this exact effect in Chamber of Secrets? During the duel scene between Snape and Lockhart, Snape sent Lockhart flying with the disarming spell, and Jeremy specifically pointed out a continuity error in that scene.
Wand goes flying, but then is magically back in Lockhart's hand after he lands. And we all know Lockhart doesn't know enough magic to pull that trick off.
Now he's pretending it's never been established to have that effect. Anyway, wizards can vary the power with which Expelliarmus hits the target, which has the effect of simply removing their wand, or a concussive force. Considering Harry hates Snape, do I even need to finish this sentence?
So Lupin turned out to be a good guy after all, and so did Sirius Black. So this movie's primary antagonist is Peter Pettigrew?
Yes.
Oh, right, because the werewolf would totally be surprised by a sudden full moon.
Yeah, he would? What the heck kind of sin is this? Do you not know how werewolves work? Remus was caught up in finding out his best friend wasn't a murderer when the moon appeared. This totally makes sense.
Professor?
Hermione tries to reason with a werewolf.
Probably because Moony usually takes Wolfsbane potion that allows him to keep his human mind. That's why Sirius asked him did he take his potion.
When in doubt, I find retracing my steps to be a wise place to begin.
Honestly, can't you just spell out exactly what they should do instead of being such a vague bastard? Is this not a mission in which you actually want them to succeed?
I really can't understand why you want characters to not be themselves. You might as well ask Deadpool to not break the fourth wall. I mean, yeah, he could stop doing that, but that wouldn't be his style. Besides, Dumbledore is speaking to the smartest witch in the school. This is like throwing an alley-oop to 2009 Dwight Howard.
That's Pettigrew.
Harry, you can't.
Dude, where was all this anger when you first found out about this?
Oh, you mean this, when he 360 no-scoped Severus?
Seriously, everyone in the execution party is enamored with the countryside? Not one cursory glance toward the animal you were about to kill?
First of all, they did look at the hippogriff. Fudge explicitly states that he saw Buckbeak prior to him escaping. Second, Dumbledore is distracting them. His plan was to use Hermione's time turner to save Buckbeak from the onset. You seriously underestimate the greatest wizard of all time.
Can a werewolf really not tell the difference between a real wolf and a teenage girl screaming like a wolf?
Interesting question. Can a dog tell a human barking from a real dog? Well, I guess that answers that.
Harry and Hermione resign themselves to werewolf death instead of, I don't know, casting a spell at it or something.
The implication is that magic doesn't affect werewolves much, if at all. This is precisely why Sirius, Severus, and these two all did not think to attack Lupin with magic. Did you not do the homework? This was on page 394.
Expecto Patronum!
Original Harry somehow didn't hear this bullshit.
Probably because he was busy getting his soul sucked. Take it from me. You wouldn't hear anything either.
I saw myself conjuring the Patronus before. I knew I could do it this time because, well, I'd already done it. Does that make sense?
No!
Jeremy just dings the ding here, implying that Hermione was right that this doesn't make sense. The problem is that it does make sense. If you have gone into the past and saw yourself doing something that you previously couldn't do, it literally means you are capable of doing that thing. 20 points from Slytherin for this malfeasance.
The ones that love us never really leave us. And you can always find them in here.
And also in that mirror from the first movie, which you seem to have forgotten about entirely.
Oof, swing and a miss. The point wasn't that Harry wanted to physically see his parents. He can already do that with the pictures he has, Jeremy. Especially because the Mirror of Darius had been moved to the Room of Requirement, a place Harry wouldn't discover for another 2 years.
He's free. We did it.
Did what?
Good job saving the day. Don't ever use that time machine again, though. No matter how dire things get in future sequels.
Jeremy has a point here, that they never revisit the time turner or use an incredibly useful item in the Second Wizarding War. However, I'm far more miffed that CinemaSins is blatantly admitting that they have seen the future sequels. I mean, we already knew they have, which is why I called them out on it in the Wand Sin, but it's kind of annoying hearing them admit it after playing dumb like they haven't.
Let's talk about the movie's time travel. They go back in time, but practically everything we see them do is stuff that happened the first time through. Harry getting hit with a rock, distracting the werewolf, etc. This is a paradox of Terminator proportions unless there's an original unique experience where the time turner isn't being used. Harry and crew would go to Hagrid's cabin and likely get caught by Dumbledore. Then none of the things we see happen would actually happen. They don't save Buckbeak, Ron doesn't lose his rat, Sirius doesn't drag Ron into the tree and into the shack, Harry doesn't find out Scabbers is Peter Pettigrew, Lupin turns into a werewolf somewhere else, and Sirius doesn't get nailed by the Dementors. And scene. The problem with this, though, besides the fact that we in the audience didn't get to see this original experience, is that at this point, only Buckbeak has been harmed, and you weren't using a time travel device just to go back and save that asshole. They don't have any other motivation to begin going back and trying to fix stuff. Thus, a paradox.
Your premise is off, and that's what's causing you problems. You start with the presumption that there is an original timeline different than this one. The time travel presented in this movie is Nabokov's self-consistency principle, which states that the timeline remains fixed no matter what the time travelers do because it's impossible to create a paradox. In other words, this is the only timeline, and things that happen from Hermione and Harry's perspective happen because it already happened. This is a closed or causal loop, which does not require another timeline. However, what I find most interesting about this sin is that when someone tried to correct you in your comment section, you're defending yourself. I mean, look at you go. Curious how your fanboys love to state these videos are all jokes and not meant to be taken seriously, but if that were true, there would be no need for you to explain yourself to this audience member. I mean, if it were all a joke, why would you be defending the joke? It's a joke. See, the truth is that CinemaSins tells jokes in criticism videos, which directly validates the work that I'm doing. So suck it, idiot number 245,679 that's in my comments section typing, "It's not supposed to be taken seriously." It clearly is.
Heavy-handed opening shot of skulls in cemetery to tell you Harry Potter ain't for kids anymore.
No, that revelation was made back in Prisoner of Azkaban when Sirius Black was stated to have wanted to kill the main protagonist. How many kids' movies outright state the antagonist wants to kill the protagonist? I mean, if Dora was actually realistic, Swiper would have pulled the blicky on her by now, but he hasn't, because that is something that's actually for kids.
This old man noticed the light before it was turned on.
Or this is the movie showing you why he performed the double take. In other words, Jeremy fails to recognize things that are happening at the same time.
Harry!
Oh hey, the Hogwarts assholes finally stopped sending Harry back to spend every summer with abusive relatives.
When did you get here?
Just now, you?
Last night.
Oh wait, no they didn't. Assholes.
Again, Harry is sent to the Dursleys because of his blood relation to Petunia. You calling Dumbledore an asshole for literally saving Harry's life is hilariously tone-deaf. It's also strange because this movie literally does not show the Dursleys, so you're only bringing this up because you have knowledge of the books that you say don't matter.
This 2-second clip of Robert Pattinson falling out of a tree was the only audition he needed for Twilight. Is the boot just sitting out here in a field the rest of the time when it's not being used as a portkey? Did someone come out here even earlier this morning and set it in place?
I'm not even going to answer these silly questions. I'd much rather point out that this is what I'm talking about. CinemaSins asks questions that aren't related to the film's plot in any way, and people act like because I relay an answer that may be in the source material, that I'm wrong to do so. You know, because books don't matter, but apparently random ADHD questions that have nothing to do with what the movie is saying do. You might as well ask, why does Harry wear glasses, or why is Ron's hair red? Neither have anything to do with the plot of this film and don't deserve nor require an answer.
Why are they all standing around that manky old boot? That isn't just any manky old boot, mate. It's a portkey.
Of course it is. You can now officially transport using anything in the Harry Potter universe.
The various methods of travel in the wizarding world all serve a specific purpose. Brooms allow a single flyer to fly wherever they want, but are generally slow and the flyer can't carry much with them. The Flu network allows travel using fireplaces, which is also the con of using it. And portkeys allow a traveler to teleport to a specific location and only to and from that location. This is no different from the various methods of travel we have in the real world, where they each have pros and cons. Why fly to Vegas when you can drive? Think about your answer to that question.
That looks like one broken bone, several sprains, and a handful of future chiropractic patients.
Suggesting anyone should become a chiropractic patient.
Harry Potter adults would much rather see the kids hurt themselves than teaching them anything useful, as always.
This is how you teach people physical things, though. Learn by experiencing it. You think they teach boxers how to box without hitting them? Besides, no one in the group was actually hurt. You're just making things up.
Holmes me tone.
But who put the tent up?
Another irrelevant question made worse by this being a universe where magic exists. I mean, this man was actually miffed that the dishes were washing themselves in the last movie, but is asking who put the tent up.
Unbelievably convenient spell makes one wonder why there are such things as conflicts in the magic world.
Besides the fact that those two things literally have no correlation, I am enjoying how you see something like this and still leave in the sin about someone putting the tent up in the first place. It's like, on one hand, this guy realizes they have wondrous supernatural abilities, and then on the other, assumes they are doing manual labor.
Blimey, Dad. How far up are we?
I'm still trying to figure out why stairs exist at the magical Quidditch arena. What, no magical spell or elevator?
Have you never been to a sporting event live? Who am I kidding? Of course you haven't. In a stadium, such as a soccer or baseball stadium, there are elevators, but they cannot take you to every single row where there are seats. That's where the stairs come in.
Malfoy somehow reaches from all the way down here with his cane to catch some of Harry's supposedly loose-fitting jacket and stop him in his tracks.
A blatant lie. Malfoy reaches up to dig his cane in Potter's foot, not his jacket. You know, because that doesn't make any sense at all.
That's racist.
Bet you wouldn't say that to an Irishman's face, though.
Damn, all that build up for the Quidditch Cup and we don't see one bit of it.
It's almost like the title of this movie is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and not Harry Potter watches the Quidditch Cup.
Get back to the portkey, everybody, and stick together!
What portkey? The boot was the portkey and then they landed in a field. So are they supposed to run back to the field or all the way back to the random English hill that contains the boot?
Here Jeremy is once again pretending he hasn't seen this movie already and making it seem as if the portkey doesn't come with the travelers when they teleport. This movie specifically shows how portkeys work in the climax when the Triwizard Cup goes with Harry and Cedric to the graveyard and returns when they do. Even if you dumbass CinemaSins fanboys pretend he's doing it from the perspective of someone that hasn't seen this movie, the Triwizard Cup literally invalidates this specific sin, but it's still in the video.
Also, hundreds of thousands of magical people, and instead of ganging up on a handful of Death Eaters and overpowering them, they all scatter. Haven't these people seen A Bug's Life?
The vast majority of people aren't about that life. People talk a big game behind their computer screens, but when them green spells start flying, you begin to separate the wheat from the bitches. I mean, these people are too scared to say Voldemort's name. You think they're down to actually fight his followers?
Main character gets separated from the group because of an unrealistic scuffle in a large crowd cliche.
I take it 2014 Jeremy has not heard about the Astroworld tragedy here in 2021. Let's just say that's not unrealistic. Not by a long shot.
So everyone's dead? Or did everyone escape and then they burned everything to the ground? You see, the problem with these cutaway to after the action is over shots is that they confuse the fuck out of the audience.
Jeremy sees an empty festival where the campground has been burned down and assumes the audience is confused at what happened here. No, bud, I think that's just you.
What crime? It's the dark mark, Harry. It's his mark.
Oh, the burning down of a whole village is not the crime they're talking about. It's the scary firework.
It's almost like they have rules against certain things in this specific society. I mean, you honestly think wizards care about this being burned down? I would assume summoning wanted criminals to attack other wizards would be higher on the priority list.
Wait, they're going straight to Hogwarts after all this shit?
The passage of time continues to confound CinemaSins.
Honestly, why even travel by water at all if you're going to go by magical, completely submerged boat? Why don't these two other schools just have all the students take a portkey to Hogwarts? It wouldn't make for nearly as cinematic an entrance, but it definitely makes for a more logical story.
The first part of your question is extremely weird, considering it insinuates submarines shouldn't exist. No, seriously, think about what was said. Why travel by water if you're going to be submerged? And the second is that portkeys have to be arranged and everyone has to touch the object, meaning they'd have to take turns, which risks being discovered by no mage due to how long that would take. Then there is portkey sickness, which nobody likes, and it's just more of a headache than it's worth.
Hogwarts has been chosen to host a legendary event, the Triwizard Tournament.
Apparently the announcement of this very special event just happened today, with the competing schools knowing way in advance before any of the students at Hogwarts did.
I don't understand this criticism. When would have been appropriate to tell the students, and why is right now a bad time to do it? Dumbledore makes big announcements like these in the Great Hall every year. Why is this a problem now?
To be fair, this is how we imagine all French girls, whether they know magic or not.
Oh, was that it? I thought you were pointing out things wrong with Goblet of Fire, not telling us you think French women are accompanied by butterflies.
And now our friends from the north.
The North? Isn't Victor Crumb from Bulgaria? Isn't Hogwarts in England? Or does Crumb play professionally for a Bulgarian Quidditch team and go to school in some Scandinavian country?
First of all, Hogwarts is in Scotland. I know Americans don't do the knowing anything about other countries, but Scotland is a different country than England. This is important because Harry, Ron, and Hermione are all English, while Seamus is Irish. Are you noticing the problem with your question yet? Just because a student is from one country doesn't mean they can't go to school in another country, and this is what happened with Victor Crumb. He is from Bulgaria, but Durmstrang is in Scandinavia, meaning it is more north than Scotland.
Wait, the best seeker in the entire magical world is a high school student?
You said that like it's unbelievable or something. Venus and Serena made their pro debuts when they were children and became the best in the world not long after that. Heck, Harry Potter himself defeated the most powerful dark wizard of all time at 17. Age is only a number, except for when it comes to matters of consent.
To explain all this, we have the head of the Department of International Magical Cooperation, Mr. Bartimus Crouch.
Who isn't the least bit busy after that terrorist attack that happened yesterday.
Time is still terrorizing the CinemaSins office. Jeremy really thinks that because he just saw the attack, that it happened yesterday in the film. This is the level of comprehension I'm dealing with.
3 years from now, when we're old enough to be chosen.
Wait, they're doing another Triwizard tournament in 3 years? Then why wasn't there one during the first movie?
There are a couple things wrong with this. First, Ron is making a reference to their age, not when the next tournament will be held. They're 14 and only 17-year-olds have been allowed to put their name into the cup. Second, this is the first tournament in hundreds of years, as the tournament was revived after being shut down due to safety concerns. And lastly, even if the second thing I said wasn't true, a previous tournament could have been held at a different location. Dumbledore specifically stated that Hogwarts had been selected to host the tourney this year.
Again, I ask, why are the wands, which bond themselves to their owners and seem so fucking important in the first movie, sometimes just not remotely necessary?
Again, wands are there to focus a wizard's magic and make it more potent. Think about what you're asking for just a moment. If the wands were what allowed someone to do magic, wouldn't that mean muggles could simply pick up a wand and start levitating shit? Beyond that, you literally saw Harry perform magic in the first and third films without a wand, so why are you asking this as if you don't know wandless magic is and has been a thing?
Harry, did you put your name in that Goblet of Fire? No, sir. You asked one of the older students to do it for you? No.
You mean that could have worked if he did?
Potentially. I mean, that's literally what happened when Barty Crouch Jr. put Harry's name in the cup. Dumbledore knows that's technically possible, which is why he's calmly asking Harry this question.
The Goblet of Fire constitutes a binding magical contract.
What happens if you break the magical contracts? Who enforces them?
Who enforces the magical contracts? The magic, genius. If you don't participate, you die. Presumably, of course, but from what we know about the unbreakable vow, it's the correct presumption.
If we are to truly discover the meaning of these events, perhaps we should let them unfold.
I agree with Severus.
Wait, you mean you can do something to keep him from playing?
No, the point of this scene is to stop fretting over why Harry has been entered. Snape is not saying they have a solution, he's saying let's stop looking for one.
The bird bite.
Harry immediately drinks his own blood after possibly Rabbit Owl bites his hand.
Well, if he got bit by a rabbit owl, he's got bigger problems because rabbit owls don't exist. Rabies can only survive in and be transmitted by mammals.
Why is this the one and only time in all 8 movies when 2 people who need to talk to each other while in separate places use this fireplace phone?
One and only time in all 8 movies, huh? I guess you just forgot about Harry and Sirius using this same fireplace to talk in The Order of the Phoenix.
Oh good, more movie tricks to avoid showing the audience shit that, while expensive to film, would actually be more entertaining than watching Harry listening to it.
Because this movie is called Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. The point is to show Harry's perspective of these events and is why we follow him during his attempts at these tasks. You are literally asking for 4 scenes of the same thing in an already 2-hour and 30-minute movie.
This dragon chase scene is awesome, but didn't you say they'd been given a golden egg to protect? Not they've been told to kill you? Is the dragon intelligent enough to know that none of the other hundreds of people back at the stadium are going to steal its egg?
I know we're dealing with a magical creature and all, but has this man seriously never animaled before? Most creatures I've come across have one-track minds where they will singularly focus on something, like how a cat forgets literally everything when there's a laser on the ground. Harry is antagonizing the Horntail, and now its only goal is to roast and eat him. Like these videos.
Was this part of Voldemort's plan? Everything would have been f***ed if Harry had slipped and died here, as any non-main character person would have.
Then it's a good thing that didn't happen, meaning it's not a sin of this movie. You know, because it didn't happen.
The Yule Ball has been a tradition of the Triwizard Tournament since its inception.
Now it just sounds like you're making shit up as it goes along.
That's kind of what happens in a fictional universe, Jeremy. I know you're mentally 5 years old and think everything you see on the pretty screen is actually happening, but Harry Potter doesn't exist. He is a figment of the imagination of a woman named Joanne. She made all of this up.
Also, Yule Ball festivities will now take up 15 minutes of this movie's time just so we can see Ron and Hermione get pissed off at each other.
Which is extremely important in the development of each character, considering they eventually get married and have children.
Inside every girl, a secret swan slumbers, longing to burst forth and take flight.
From now on, I'm calling my penis Secret Swan.
Jeremy says boner.
Amusing scene, but why does a school stop classes to teach students how to dance?
Because there's a ball, and they're representing Gryffindor. I thought Minerva explained that quite well.
2-hour and 37-minute movie spends way too much time on the giant love story.
Says the guy that was asking for the film to show us Victor, Cedric, and Floor's attempts with their dragons.
Wait a minute, no one's asked this girl out yet? First off, that's racist. Second off, she has so few options that she says yes to the first Weasley that comes along.
Wait, it's racist that she hadn't been asked already? Most of the girls hadn't been asked by this point, and that's because the guys are all chicken shit. They literally show you that in the movie. And what's wrong with one of the Weasleys? They're generally very popular in school and tall, which, as Tinder tells us, is the only thing women want. You're only saying this because they're poor, and that's classist.
That's actually abuse.
Oh no, a teacher tapped the head of disobedient students with a notebook. Better call child services. We need to transform them into Gen Z.
Also, Hermione isn't old enough to be hot yet. Won't be too much longer, though.
Jeremy is that one dude that hangs around high schools. You know the one I'm talking about. You know, your uncle.
That's right, you guys. I got the 14-year-old. I'm nailing her in the room of requirement later.
At least they're both underage. You're 40 and you're calling a 15-year-old hot. It's amazing you're trying to call out two kids when you're only mad that it's socially unacceptable for it to be you.
She care to join us?
Would not care to join you and Victor.
Jeez, Ron's character motivations are so base he might as well just be a penis.
Jeremy says penis.
I think he's got a bit more than friendship on his mind.
Yeah, he's not the only one. You can edit that part out, right?
Continuing to joke about his attraction to a child. Listen, Drew Barrymore is hot, but I'm not about to call her that when watching E.T.
This woman's height changes in every scene she's in.
Along with time, heels also confuse CinemaSins.
Actually, we don't really talk at all. Victor's more of a physical being.
Haha, gross.
Jeremy is actually mad that it's not him.
When's the last time you held your breath underwater for an hour, Hermione?
When's the last time Hermione had no clue what spell to cast to get Harry out of this problem?
This one, which is why you refer to it as this problem and not a problem.
We've agreed. Reward him second pay for outstanding moral fiber.
Harry gets extra points for cheating.
Cheating? So him going out of his way to help his opponent, causing him to lose first place, is cheating? Fam, you need a new dictionary. The one you have is labeled antonyms.
Diggory's dad is here? Where's Fleur's dad? Or Crumbs? Oh, right, Diggory's gonna die here in a bit, and we need that money shot of his dad wailing over his body.
Or the elder Diggory is British, and it's a far shorter trip to Scotland than from France or where Crumb is from.
Together! 1, 2, 3!
Sportsmanship.
This is one of those sins where CinemaSins doesn't know how to segue into the next scene. In other words, a big fat nothing.
It's a portkey.
Why did the cup travel with them on this journey, but the boot didn't travel with them in the initial portkey voyage earlier in the film?
But it clearly did. What the hell did you think Arthur meant when he said,
Get back to the portkey, everybody, and stick together! Shall I divulge how I truly lost my powers?
Anything that'll give Harry enough time to get out of this. We're all ears.
And you're saying this as if that happened, which it didn't. Harry was literally let out of this predicament by Voldemort because of Old Boldy's ego. He wanted to actually duel Harry, and that's what let him get away.
When dear sweet Lily Potter gave her life for her only son, she provided the ultimate protection.
A bit of magic that saves people from the killing curse? Why doesn't everybody learn this? Was Lily the only one who knew how to do it? The fuck?
It's almost like it's a complex bit of magic that requires the user to die to protect someone they love. If you take a moment to simply think about the parameters of this, you'd find it's extremely unlikely for these circumstances to ever come up. The killing curse is illegal, and wizards aren't generally trying to kill each other. Then you need to be selfless enough to die for protection to be passed to someone else who you can't even be sure was fully protected because you died. Then they have to live with a blood relative on top of that.
Oh hey, Harry and Voldemort have their wand streams crossed. You know what you should do? Take another 4 movies to get us back to this exact same situation.
I guess you're just ignoring the fact that Harry cannot kill Voldemort until he destroys all the Horcruxes and the one inside himself. But yeah, sure, this exact same situation.
Also, whenever my brother and I cross streams, we definitely got some on the floor.
Crossing streams with your brother. I mean, that's not only nasty, but how did you work out the timing? Oh, you meant pee. Still gross, though.
Harry is saved by some bullshit ghosts because of some bullshit having to do with his wand and Voldemort's wand connecting or some bullshit.
Why is it bullshit, though? I mean, this is how the magic works, so what other explanation were you expecting for this? It's a book about magic, dude. Literally anything can happen.
Why does the portkey return them to the grandstands instead of the spot back in the maze that they left from?
Because that's what the cup was originally supposed to do. Crouch only bewitched it to go to the graveyard because he never expected Harry to return.
Imagine how he will reward me. I have once and for all silenced Harry Potter.
At first I thought you weren't killing him because of that only Voldemort gets to kill Harry Potter nonsense, but no, you could have killed him like 20 times since you took him here.
This is one of those disingenuous sins that CinemaSins thrives on. Ambiguity. At first glance, it seems like CinemaSins is saying Barty could have killed Harry on the way to this room. But when you point out he was trying to remove Harry from the 30-plus wizards that could have stopped him, he then has the ability to say he meant all the time during the tournament. Of course, that's nullified too, because Voldemort needed Harry to survive to resurrect. Any way you look at this, it's wrong.
You mean to tell me the entire tournament from the beginning of the school year until now was rigged just to get Harry to touch a portkey? Couldn't they have just made a portkey out of his breakfast waffles or something?
This particular sin lends credence to the latter part of my previous sin, that CinemaSins meant Barty should have killed Harry before all of this. There's really no other reason for them to say this right now after the previous insinuation. Like, did they only now think of this question? As in, not when they showed the cup was a portkey?
Priori incantatum. You saw your parents that night, didn't you?
Yeah, and it was total bullshit.
Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
Who the f are these people waving at? And don't give me that they're waving at the French people on the horses nonsense, because there's no freaking way anyone can see them this far inside the castle.
What a silly sin. What about all the people that wave to boats as they set sail? The meaning is symbolic to the waver. It's like how you yell at the movies as if they can hear you, and like how I yell at you like you can hear me.
"20 seconds of logo."
A sin for 20 seconds of logos. And here I thought short logo sequences got a sin removal. That is what your fanboys tell me after all.
Wait, these motherfuckers are still sending Harry back to live with abusive relatives? 5 f***ing movies in, and honestly, the Hogwarts people are just as bad as Voldemort in my book.
Well, fortunately, books don't matter. I'm sorry. It was a layup. Anyway, as explained countless times, the reason Harry returns to the Dursleys is because Petunia is his blood relative, and that affords him magical protection from Voldy. If you're going to bring this up in every single video, you could have at least looked up why this happens. A normal person would think there's a reason behind this, but not you. You see something happening over and over and assume there is no method to the madness. There is a reason J.K. is the second best book series selling author of all time, only behind God. Allegedly.
Fat, out-of-shape Dudley can keep up with somewhat athletic Harry while running.
Contrary to popular belief, just because someone is fat does not mean they cannot be very athletic. NFL linemen are 300 to 400 pounds on average and still run 5-second 40-yard dashes. I mean, look at this dude.
Since when are you able to keep a Patronus on retainer?
Are you seriously asking since when has Harry been able to control his Patronus? Since the third book, clown. This is the fifth.
Also, it's been 2 years. Learn how to make a full-fledged Patronus already. The last time you did it, all you had to do was realize that you'd done it before. You remember, during all that time travel rigmarole from the third movie?
As explained in the third book, creating a Patronus that has a corporeal animal form requires intense concentration and is difficult for even adult wizards to conjure. It's far easier to conjure formless Patronus charms.
How do you know about...
Dumbledore asked me to keep an eye on you.
While you were being beaten and forced to live under the stairs.
Something she wouldn't have seen, considering the Dursleys made it a point to hide Harry's existence as best they could. And beaten? You know, the movies have never made that explicit, but the books did. So since you are clearly referencing the books, I get to, and Gator don't want to hear no lip about it from here on out.
Gator don't play no shit. You feel me? Gator never been about that. Never been about playing no shit.
Did you expect him to let you go wandering around on your own?
What is she supposed to do if any evil magic antagonist tries to attack Harry? I watched over Harry like you asked, Dumbledore, but Lucius Malfoy cast a spell I couldn't deflect with my wicker basket.
She could contact Dumbledore with any of the more or less instantaneous methods wizards have for communication, and Dumbledore can literally teleport to this location. Was that it? That was easy.
The Ministry has received intelligence. You performed the Patronus charm in the presence of a muggle.
However, our intelligence did not notice the 2 Dementors that would have sucked your face off. So you must have been frivolously conjuring Patronus charms for no reason.
You are, once again, sinning characterization. The main plot of this movie involves the Ministry's unwillingness to admit Voldemort's return, which necessitates the resurrection of the Order of the Phoenix. Dolores Umbridge sent the Dementors to kill Harry Potter, and her manipulating the Ministry to ignore that Dementors were there is the plot, fool!
How the f*** did the Ministry find a witness to testify to Harry using magic outside of school in this instance, but not in any of the previous instances he's done it in basically every other movie?
The Ministry didn't find a witness. Dumbledore did. And if you're as dumb as I think you are, when you say witness, you're referring to the Ministry's ability to know underage magic has happened, meaning your use of witness is wrong. And just an FYI, there's a charm on every underage wizard that allows them to detect magic.
Dumbledore has persuaded the Minister to suspend your expulsion pending a formal hearing.
What?
The headmaster of a school has asked a government entity to postpone his student's expulsion so that he may have an opportunity to explain himself in a fair hearing. What part of that didn't you understand?
Don't break ranks if one of us is killed.
And no one pay any attention to the flying witches and wizards in the middle of a f***ing neighborhood either. So wait, they don't have a chimney or a magic boot or some shit to transport Harry where he needs to go? They just fly around London and say, if muggles see us, f*** them?
You're not paying attention to what the film is trying to say. The Order does not trust the Ministry. The Flu Network and port keys have to be authorized, and both are monitored by the Ministry, and flying is a way to mitigate this issue.
You know what could have been even cooler than this? A magic building not in London that doesn't have anything to do with a regular muggle apartment building. I've just wrapped my head around platform 9 3/4. How do I wrap my head around this?
Abracadabra, I sit on his knee. Presto, changeo, and now he is me. Hocus pocus, we take her to bed. Magic is free. We're dead.
Josephine Levine presents Magic, a terrifying love story.
Harry is still amazed at shit like this. Dude, did you not see the tent in the last f***ing movie?
It is absolutely amazing that the guy that literally just asked how can he wrap his head around magic is chastising someone else for being amazed at magic. How the f*** is this possible?
Jump scare hug.
There isn't a universe in which this was presented as a jump scare. And no, the grain of sand floating around in your skull does not count.
Dumbledore made us swear not to tell you anything.
So why are Hermione and Fred privy to this super secret knowledge that concerns Harry?
First of all, why are you saying Hermione and Fred? Don't you mean Ron? I mean, the reason I asked this is because you spliced footage of Fred and George into Hermione's dialogue, and that footage of the twins came a little bit after Hermione said that line. So what I think happened here is you borked your script and said Fred when you meant Ron, but spliced in footage of the twins to cover your mistake and hoped no one would notice. I noticed. And second, Hermione and Ron could be trusted with that knowledge because 4 movies have taught us one thing about Harry. He is headstrong and will jump into the fray even at risk of death. I mean, you literally said this about Harry in the last video.
Why would I go looking for someone who wants to kill me?
Oh, I don't know. The events of the last 2 movies might lead someone to think that.
If it wasn't for Harry, we wouldn't even know Voldemort was bad.
No shit. And the guy's been in like 1,000 adventures that no kid should ever have to go through. And he fought Voldemort. This secret is the most ridiculous thing ever.
So, your solution to a child going through traumatic experiences is to put them through more trauma? No, your reasoning is the most ridiculous thing ever.
Just because you're allowed to use magic now does not mean you have to whip your wands out for everything!
If use magic means have sex, then yes, they do.
Jeremy thinks penetration is the only way to have sex. That's why his college ex-girlfriend was always so upset. He never found the clip.
Good, I want to join. If Voldemort's raising an army, then I want to fight.
I guess that's where the conversation ended. There was nothing else to sort out after that.
Well, yeah, Sirius is Harry's legal guardian, and they were in accord. What else is there to discuss?
Every f***ing person in London is walking down streets far away from this, so they can't witness this telephone elevator.
And that's a sin because... Are you suggesting that there should always be people that notice something like this? I'd assume the government arm of a magical community dedicated to the secrecy of that community would place a visitor's entrance to a government building in a place where it's most inconspicuous. I mean, the movie is literally showing you the majority of people stay away from this area, but your response is to suggest that they should be here. This is why I ask you, why? You have not justified why this is an issue, only expressed your incredulity. That's what flat earthers do.
Also, man, I just can't figure out the physics of this thing. There's an entire extra floor of telephone booth tucked up in the top of this telephone booth? We've said it before, but magic this complex makes you wonder why there are such things as problems in the wizard world.
You live in the 21st century, an era where you can sit in a tube that takes you from New York to Italy in 8 hours. You also possess a rectangle small enough to fit in your pocket that contains the entirety of human knowledge. To someone in the Middle Ages, all of that would be indiscernible from magic. Somehow, just like the Middle Ages, we still have wars, pandemics that kill millions, and monarchies. This means that most of our problems are not caused by a lack of technology, but by human nature. You think Voldemort looks at this and goes, oh, well, my Hitler-like crusade for racial dominance has been thwarted because we can conjure phone booths out of thin air. Grow up, Peter Pan.
Use of magic chimneys makes you wonder why Harry and Mr. Weasley didn't do this. If the reason is Harry can't use magic, then why was he allowed to fly on a broom earlier?
Firstly, flying on a broom is not considered using magic in the Harry Potter universe. The brooms themselves are charmed. This is why a firebolt is faster than a Nimbus 2001. If what you are implying were true, there would be no use in different broom brands. Second, the Order does not trust the Ministry. They monitor the Flu Network. As we later learn, Umbridge was the one that set up Harry with Dementors. Their suspicion was valid.
Interdepartmental memos. We used to use owls. Mess was unbelievable.
Why the f*** is the rest of the magic world still using owls?
It's Almost like a paper plane can't carry a book or a broom or anything. Not to mention this is indoors. Have you ever tried flying a paper plane in moderately strong winds or rain? Do you even use your head or do you just wear it for looks?
So Mrs. Fig is what's known as a squib, a muggle born to wizard parents. But the ministry says muggles can't see dementors. So why does anything she say hold any weight at all?
First of all, squibs are not muggles. They are squibs. That's why there's a word for that. And Fig states she can see the Dementors, which may or may not be a lie, but she is able to describe their effects accurately, specifically the freezing cold that accompanies their presence. She'd be able to describe that she saw Harry and Dudley running away from something, which even if she couldn't see that something, she'd prove that Harry wasn't conjuring a Patronus for no reason.
The odds are astronomical.
Someone in a fantasy movie about magic says something is impossible because of the odds.
He isn't saying it isn't possible. When someone brings up odds, they are saying it isn't probable. And this, coming from you, rings hollow. You have spent 5 videos complaining about how things shouldn't be possible in this series, so stop trying to send movies for doing things you are guilty of.
Professor. Dumbledore continues to be a dick to Harry even after helping Harry.
But he's not being a dick to Harry. Harry is a Horcrux, and this is why Harry has a connection to Voldemort and can speak Parseltongue. It is this connection that Dumbledore is attempting to avoid, and why he didn't tell Harry about the Order of the Phoenix.
Nobody in this entire busy station is sitting in the waiting room.
Well, yeah. If there were, he wouldn't have transformed there and would have found somewhere else where people weren't, so you could complain about that. Duh.
Nothing's pulling the carriage, Harry. It's pulling itself, like always.
Which would be reasonable in a magic movie, but of course invisible horses are pulling this carriage, and now they have to throw this only people who have seen death can see them wrinkle into the story.
I really can't keep up with your incredulity. One moment you're complaining about the logistics of a magical tent, demanding an explanation, and the next you're saying a cart pulling itself is reasonable without one, because the movie is about magic. There are more flip-flops here than the red light district in Thailand.
I can see them too.
Harry and the gang just happened to meet a student that did not exist the first 4 Harry Potters and who also has seen death and can see the Thestrals.
Which is why she's in the movie. What part of movies show you things that are important and wouldn't if they weren't, don't you understand?
You don't understand.
Help us to.
Well, I would, but Dumbledore made me swear not to tell you. Guess we're even now, huh?
Jeremy yells at Hermione cliché.
Flying owl signifies the passage of time cliché.
Where the hell is this considered a cliché? You mean this only happens in this series? I wasn't aware something you did could be considered cliché if you invented it.
They're called Thestrals.
43 minutes into this movie, what's the real conflict? Sure, Dolores Umbridge is a total whore, and some people don't like Harry, but that's what we call the B story. A story hasn't cropped up yet.
The movie is called The Order of the Phoenix. The Order was established in the first 10 minutes. Dolores is this film's main antagonist. She was established in the first 24 minutes. The Order and the Ministry are adversaries in a proxy war against Voldemort. That is the conflict of this story. This dude is waiting for a bus that passed him almost an hour ago.
We Americans get widely criticized for the portions restaurants serve and how much we waste food, but the Harry Potter universe is filled with huge plates of uneaten food. Where does it all go when the kids are done?
As explained in Chapter 7, page 124 of The Sorcerer's Stone, leftover food magically disappears. Oh, and by the way, get over it, British weirdos that are upset that I'm calling it the Sorcerer's Stone. That's what the movie and the book are called here. Suck my dick. Like, you don't see me getting angry that you guys pronounce aluminium randomly. You know, the original word was aluminum. You guys added aluminium. The fuck, that shit sounds like a venereal disease. I don't know. Then you get mad when we don't pronounce our H's. Like, you go, oh, there's an H in the word herb. Herb? Are you serious? It's herb. It's French. Drop the H, clowns. No, but Birdman, there's an H there. Yeah, there's also one in hour and honor. You don't pronounce them shits either, so shut the fuck up.
Merely your medieval methods.
Professors would never have this argument in the full view of students in the middle of a heavily trafficked area.
Says who? You? You didn't go to school.
Things at Hogwarts are far worse than I feared.
Why is she suddenly turning to address the large group of eavesdropping students?
To show dominance over Minerva, the literal point of the scene?
To address the seriously falling standards at Hogwarts School.
The Ministry's being portrayed as the bad guys here, but yeah, has anyone ever learned anything at that school?
Harry learned how to do a Patronus charm 2 years ago, something that literally saves his life in this movie. Ron learned how to levitate objects first year, something that saved them from the troll. Fred and George literally demonstrate they are experts at apparition in this movie. Should I go on, or are you thoroughly embarrassed?
You've been in this post how long, exactly?
Aw, that poor nice Trelawney. Getting grilled over her worthlessness. I'd hate to see her go.
Worthless? You mean the woman who literally made a prediction that caused the events of Harry Potter's life to go into motion? That woman?
Professor!
Whatever Dumbledore's reason is for ignoring Harry, he's unwittingly creating a new Voldemort. What the hell is wrong with this guy?
You made this video in 2014, 7 years after the last book was released, and 7 years after this movie was released. Stop pretending you don't know why Dumbledore is doing what he's doing.
Professor Dumbledore!
Also, these assholes couldn't have told him, listen, Harry, Dumbledore has to ignore you this year because of a big, scary, important magic thing that you'll learn more about later. But it definitely doesn't mean that he hates you, as it probably feels when no one explains this shit to you.
See? He knows why. Some 40-year-old dude tells cringe sexual jokes and lies to me for 20 minutes. Ha 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 ha! How the hell is this entertaining?
She's taking over the entire school.
So far, this movie should have been called Harry Potter and the Really, Really Bad Teacher Nobody Liked.
He's so close. He's so close to getting that's the conflict of this film.
Have we ever seen these fucking kids sitting around just listening to the radio news?
Those of us who've read the books, yes, we have in Chamber of Secrets. Why do you ask?
No, we have not. Because we have not as of yet needed such a cheap way to have our main characters learn crucial information.
Oh, I see. You're inventing things to be mad about. Is this really a problem with the Order of the Phoenix, CinemaSins? These kids still read newspapers. It's the 90s. No one cares.
Oh, look, he does use the fireplace phone again. I stand corrected. But I do not stand corrected on the fact that it's still just an easy deus ex machina for communication that comes and goes at the whim of the writer.
No. You're getting 5 sins for this nonsense. You don't want to remove a sin for a mistake you made in the previous video, and on top of that, you're calling a method of communication a deus ex machina. That's quite possibly your worst usage of that phrase, considering you have made it explicitly clear you think a deus ex machina is someone being saved. Like, who's even being saved here?
Is it true you can produce a Patronus charm?
Yes, I've seen it.
Blimey, Harry. I didn't know you could do that.
How did you not know that? The entire magical kingdom has been gossiping about Harry and his formal trial for using a Patronus charm in front of a muggle this entire school year.
I'm not even surprised that you're just making things up at this point. The school has not been gossiping about Harry's trial. The gossip was about the ministry smearing Harry for suggesting Voldemort has returned. Most of the kids don't even know about Harry's trial.
The room of requirement only appears when a person has real need of it, and is always equipped for the seeker's needs.
So it's a holodeck.
And if it is? You sit in holodecks, bro?
How can you practice a spell and not have the spell's effect happen? Like, do you start by saying, Wand Siri, this is just a practice spell, or something like that? How are the magical forces supposed to know you really don't mean it this time as opposed to other times?
Because, as explained many times, the magic comes from the wizard, not the wand. The wizard would have to will the magic into existence. It doesn't come from just waving a wand around. And I'm making this video before Fantastic Beasts 3 comes out to negate what I just said. I'm still pissed about Accio Niffler.
Hermione's victory over Ron gets celebrated as this woman conquers man sort of thing, but don't we already know that Hermione is better than most of all the rest of her fellow students?
Nobody was thinking of it in those terms, least of all the film. This was a comedic showdown of the two deuteragonists who also happen to like each other.
What, did he just do that spell for her? Neither of them said a spell word, so how did the wand know what was required of it? Wasn't it confused by having two masters at once?
All Harry did was correct the witch's form. She produced the magic. Again, the magic comes from the witch, stupid.
Believing in yourself.
Whoa, Harry, have you thought about maybe dating this girl right here? I mean, I like Cho and Ginny Weasley as much as the next guy, but you might be overlooking someone.
No, we aren't going to skip over the fact that this adult is yet again fawning over children.
I will attempt to penetrate your mind. You will attempt to resist. Prepare yourself.
I'm not going to tell you how to resist, but resist, damn you.
It's a matter of willpower, my dude. Do you really need someone to tell you how to resist someone reading your mind? Wait, don't answer that. And don't think I forgot about you stating quite clearly that Legilimens, someone who can read minds, has never been introduced in the Harry Potter series back in your Fantastic Beasts video.
Legilimens?
Yeah, but I always have trouble with your kind. Brits.
Legilimens is someone who can read minds. Someone that was never once introduced in the entire world of Harry Potter before now. Probably because, like the Time Turner, they were all burned in some fire or some.
That video came out 3 years after this one, so either you're dishonest or Akira Toriyama.
So wait, is Snape still in Harry's mind? What the hell happened? Snape just knocked Harry and us into next Christmas.
Another scene manipulation. They explicitly show Snape exiting Harry's mind, and then the scene transitions.
Legilimens! Concentrate, Potter. Focus.
My mother did that after I ran away.
These movies and their tragic character backstories. Everyone's got a sob story. Harry's parents died. Sirius's mother was abusive. Hermione's parents are muggles. Ron's family is poor.
So the sin here is that the characters of the story are fleshed out. Okay, but how is Hermione's parents being muggles a tragic backstory? That's racist.
Bit of fresh air, you know.
Oh, yes. As gamekeeper, fresh air must be difficult to come by.
Whoa, touche. Dolores Umbridge would be amazing at CinemaSins.
You guys get mad at me for sending CinemaSins, but they just admitted one of the most despicable and evil characters in all of fiction would fit in at CinemaSins. I'm the hero here.
Also, Bellatrix Lestrange, who we just heard about a few minutes ago, somehow survives this massive explosion in her sector.
The first part of this sin was unnecessary information. What does the fact that we just learned about Bellatrix a few minutes ago have to do with her surviving an explosion? And beyond that, you're saying a massive explosion, but you're leaving out this explosion was entirely to set her free, meaning of course it wouldn't kill her. This man literally thinks this was random.
Dumbledore's got style.
Wow, way to take one of the few black characters in these movies and make him a walking stereotype.
Says the guy that tried to pretend like he couldn't understand him at the beginning of this video. And since when is a black man saying someone's got style a stereotype? Dude, I am black, and that thought never crossed my mind.
Control your emotions. Discipline your mind.
So apparently these lessons are like Luke believing in the Force or something? There's really no significant tip or trick to controlling your mind, you just have to do it.
Almost like willpower is something you can't teach.
Harry's dad is a dick to Snape, causing Snape to be a dick to everyone forever.
Causality. Action, reaction. Cause and effect.
Umbridge lets herself be fooled into walking way out into the haunted woods with the two students she's been the most suspicious about from day one.
That's because you didn't show why she's out here. Umbridge has been obsessed with taking out Dumbledore, and Hermione used her obsession against her.
Tell her, Harry!
Tell me what?
Well, if you won't tell her where it is, I will.
Where what is?
Dumbledore's secret weapon.
See this? This is the face your college ex-girlfriend would have made.
Tell them I mean no harm!
I'm sorry, Professor. I must not tell lies.
Irony.
CinemaSins sins one of the coldest scenes in the franchise because, for some odd reason, they think irony is a bad thing. Which is ironic.
So how are we going to get to London?
We fly, of course.
Of course, but with Umbridge being taken prisoner and probably much worse than that by centaurs, why don't you use the flu network now? There is no one in charge at Hogwarts anymore.
But there still is at the Ministry. How can this man watch a movie where the major plot point was Harry did underaged magic and still not get that the Ministry was the one monitoring this?
No one in London who watches the sky for leisure notices this shit.
Well, they wouldn't see the Thestrals anyway, but I doubt they'd see 15-year-old kids at what looks like a height of 1,200 feet in dense fog.
It's got your name on it.
Random crystal ball with crucial clues to the rest of the series just happens to be found by Neville while they search for Sirius.
Okay, and? What the hell is your point? Neville is one of the heroes of the series. Are you saying he should be useless? Wouldn't you send them for even bringing him in that case?
Why the disguise? Any reason for that at all?
Well, considering Lucius hasn't come out of the closet as a Death Eater yet.
Now hand me the prophecy.
How did Voldemort know for sure that the visual clues he gave Harry would send him to the Ministry of Magic?
Because Voldemort is smart as f***.
Prophecies can only be retrieved by those about whom they are made.
So that makes this large collection of prophecies located in the Ministry of Magic in a dark room where no one can find them virtually worthless.
Or exceedingly secure? Making things that literally tell the future difficult to attain is kind of the point, is it not?
Also, this story takes a page out of the prophecy handbook by not explaining who makes them, who they're for, or how accurate they are.
Another bold-faced lie. Professor Trelawney is a seer. She is explicitly stated to have made the prophecy regarding Harry. You just haven't been paying attention.
Get away from my godson.
Hell yeah, there's nothing like a good old-fashioned punch when the principals involved can perform magic.
I don't know, man. You put a gun in my hand and ask me which would be more satisfying, shooting or punching my enemy. I'm punching him every time. Then shooting him, of course.
Bellatrix is the only wizard witch of the whole bunch during this entire fight to remember the killing curse.
Avada Kedavra is an illegal curse, which means no one on the Order is likely to use it. This limits the potential users to the Death Eater side, and the narrative reason only Bellatrix uses it here is to show that she is the most hardcore of the group. It serves a purpose, is what I'm saying.
She killed him. She deserves it.
Voldemort is right.
Jeremy sends something he likes cliche.
Now this is fucking thrilling. This puts anything in any of Lucas's prequels to shame. This is how you stage and film a big showdown duel. It's just too bad about the 2 hours you had to sit through to get to this moment.
Jeremy sends something he likes cliche.
By distancing myself from you, you might be more protected.
Bullshit reason for not telling Harry obviously important details is bullshit.
But he was clearly right. You just sat through a sequence that demonstrated Voldemort was successful in reading and controlling Harry's mind, which manipulated him into a trap. He almost died. The only thing bullshit here is that you got nearly 10 million views on this video, and I'm the first to call you out on this shit. What the hell, Sean, Jay, and Silent Bob vids?
"24 seconds of logo."
You're sitting 24 seconds now? I can at least understand the 50 seconds then. I mean, that's almost a minute. But 24 seconds, you're basically saying logos shouldn't exist at all, which is weird considering you have a 14-second logo now.
Why did Harry and Dumbledore wait around at the Ministry after the big fight with Voldemort for the dozens of news crews to show up? Especially if he's going to be ushering him away from the press like he doesn't want Harry to go through that pressure. I mean, damn.
You're aware this is the Ministry of Magic, right? You know, the magical government building where magical humans can enter fairly easily. There was a huge fight here involving Death Eaters and Voldemort himself. Frankly, I'm surprised they weren't here sooner, watching the fight when it happened.
Storm clouds in London. Better go to the window to witness this extremely rare occurrence.
But of course, you cut out what the Brits are actually reacting to, which is the dark mark forming in the storm clouds.
Harry Potter. Who's Harry Potter?
Why is Harry reading the magic newspaper containing moving pictures in a non-magic public-ass place?
A couple of nights ago, I could have sworn I saw a picture of me.
That's what I'm saying!
The paper is his only way of keeping up with the current events in the magical world. Besides, you cut out the part where she said she thought she'd gone mad. This means that, besides the fact that the pictures aren't currently moving, if a muggle saw it, they would think they'd gone crazy and not that something was wrong with the paper itself. Do you see how non-bothered she is by this prospect? Hell, we wouldn't even have known about this if she didn't want Harry's Potter.
Hey, I was wondering...
11. That's when I get off.
Damn, that's specific.
Would you care to elaborate further? What the hell does "that's specific" even mean? It's a time. Of course it's specific. Every girl that ever told Jeremy when they got off work was apparently vague purposefully. That says a lot.
Well, if it isn't that wand blocker Dumbledore, wanting to talk to Harry after spending the entire previous year not talking to Harry.
And as you found out in the previous movie, Dumbledore explained to Harry why he wasn't talking to him, which was that Voldemort could peer into Harry's mind and perhaps find out about the Order. I mean, you literally sinned that scene, and I sinned you for sinning it.
Distancing myself from you, you might be more protected.
Bullshit reason for not telling Harry obviously important details is bullshit.
But he was clearly right. You just sat through a sequence that demonstrated Voldemort was successful in reading and controlling Harry's mind, which manipulated him into a trap. He almost died. The only thing bullshit here is that you got nearly 10 million views on this video, and I'm the first to call you out on this shit. What the hell, Sean, Jay, and Silent Bob vids?
Actually, sir, after all these years, I just sort of go with it.
You go with it despite the fact that no one has ever taken you to the Hufflepuff to stick your Slytherin in someone's Gryffindor.
Whatever the that was.
Blood tasting. Also, how did licking the blood drop from Harry's head tell Dumbledore, better give that chair a closer look?
7 books and 6 movies in, and Jeremy still hasn't realized that Dumbledore is that dude. How many times does this man have to demonstrate that he's the greatest wizard in history?
What gave me away?
Dragon's blood.
Oh.
I know this doesn't apply to you, but knowledge comes with age. Generally.
Even more impressive when one considers she was Muggle-born.
That's racist.
It's actually not. His point was that she was a great witch, considering she wasn't born of magic blood. I mean, he literally says this right after.
Please don't think I'm prejudiced. No. Your mother was one of my absolute favorites.
One of my best friends is Muggle-born. She's the best in our year.
And yet you keep getting all the credit.
2 sins. One for saying Harry gets all the credit when basically every year Harry is disbelieved or treated poorly by his peers, and another for cutting off the part where Slughorn explains that he wasn't being prejudiced.
Your mother was one of my absolute favorites. Look, there she is.
Wait, just a minute ago you said...
The Muggles who own this place are in the Canary Islands.
But now we're supposed to believe that you have pictures of all the people who are important to you? One of them just happening to be Harry's mom sitting here in this Muggle house?
This is a magic Airbnb. These are the things Slughorn travels with. He specifically stated earlier that he doesn't stay in a place for more than a week. If he's living a life on the run, then I would assume he brings these things with him.
Also, you said...
I never stay anywhere more than a week.
So that means you're carrying around 19 framed pictures to a new place every week?
Yes. In multiple movies, it has been shown that in the wizarding world, you can bewitch bags to hold a large number of items, such as Hermione's bag and Newt Scamander's suitcase. Why are you still surprised that literal wizards can do mundane tasks fairly effortlessly? Do you think he's carrying this stuff instead of using magic?
Professor Slughorn is going to try to collect you, Harry.
And that's all I need to say about that.
This is exactly what I was talking about in my Chamber of Secrets video, that Dumbledore uses Harry to manipulate wizards into becoming professors at Hogwarts.
I don't quite understand. If you're Lockhart and you're a well-known author who has women throwing themselves at you and you're this vain, why would you take a low-paying job as a teacher at Hogwarts?
Because Dumbledore invited him to expose him using the famous Harry Potter as bait. As you said, he's vain and thought teaching Harry would further his career. Besides, when Dumbledore asks you to Civil War, you Civil War, goddammit. Okay, you know what I mean. In the Order of the Phoenix video, you acknowledged a mistake you made regarding a sin in the Goblet of Fire video.
He does use the fireplace phone again. I stand corrected. But I do not stand corrected on the fact that it's still just an easy deus ex machina for communication that comes and goes at the whim of the writer.
No. You're getting 5 sins for this nonsense. You don't want to remove a sin for a mistake you made in the previous video, and on top of that, you're calling a method of communication a deus ex machina. That's quite possibly your worst usage of that phrase, considering you have made it explicitly clear you think a deus ex machina is someone being saved. Like, who's even being saved here? So why aren't you acknowledging the reason for Dumbledore hiring Lockhart? Did you think we would forget?
Is there ever a time when this pan isn't getting magically scrubbed in the sink?
Mrs. Weasley has 7 kids. No, is the answer.
Make the unbreakable vow.
Franchise waits until the 6th movie to mention the unbreakable vow thing, which is no doubt super important, but not really.
Couple things. It's clearly super important, as this sets up one of the biggest mysteries in the series. Was Snape evil? You probably had to be there, but the ending of this book set the fandom on fire. By the time this film came out, it was already known, but to say that it wasn't important is a blatant lie. Also, why do you expect every bit of magic to have been shown before the 6th movie? What would be compelling about this part of the series if there weren't new things to introduce? That's like complaining about the new Force abilities in the sequel trilogy.
Also, if an unbreakable vow exists and is so powerful, why not use it to do something impossible? Like, I vow to impress Kate Upton with my considerable math skills.
Because the vow will kill you if you fail to accomplish that goal. Jeremy literally thinks this bit of magic makes the thing happen instead of acting as a punishment for not keeping a promise. You can't make this shit up.
And if Draco should fail, will you yourself carry out the deed?
Movie is jumping up and down trying to tell you everything about the ending right here in the first 20 minutes, which makes you wonder why they bothered with the other 2 hours and 10 minutes, but whatever. Foreshadowing. You are amazed.
As I explained earlier, the ending of this series had been known for 2 years by the time this movie came out. I might get into trouble for saying this, but generally speaking, most people who went to watch this film already knew what was going to happen. The joy of watching something like this is to see the book come alive, or heck, just to see what they cut out. But Snape killing Dumbledore isn't the entire plot of this film. That would be gaining the memories of Slughorn to find out about the Horcruxes, so yeah, the other 2 hours are relevant.
Hey, let's go into the bombed-out former wand store so that plot can happen. Brilliant.
Man, you just say some of the weirdest things sometimes. Are you actually lamenting the film setting its own plot into motion? What?
Is it me, or do Draco and Mummy look like 2 people who don't want to be followed?
Are there people who want to be followed?
Dumb question. Someone that looks like they don't want to be followed is someone looking around making sure they're not being followed. I know you're not this dumb. Why do you pretend to be for these videos?
Also, does every single plot point in the Harry Potter universe hinge on someone overhearing something or being in the right place to see something at the right time?
Welcome to the mystery novel section of the library.
What's a raxbat?
Invisible creatures. They float in your ears and make your brain go fuzzy.
Oh, cool. What?
Saying what the movie is saying and treating it as a sin. This man is taking Luna Lovegood seriously in a movie not titled Order of the Phoenix or Deathly Hallows.
What a pathetic excuse from school.
Evil Harry Potter is right.
Calling Malfoy evil Harry Potter. Also, how is he right? I mean, I get why you might think that, but Malfoy literally has no other point of reference given that he's a pureblood wizard who has only ever gone to Hogwarts. If it's a pathetic excuse for a school, what is a great school? Ilvermorny? A place he's never been nor heard of?
How do you know where I was?
Raxperts. Your head's full of them.
Yeah, but you didn't notice that until you walked into this car for absolutely no explained reason.
This man is still trying to find reason in Luna's ramblings.
Why is Harry's nose still bleeding? Didn't Malfoy kick him like an hour ago? Then Luna fixed his nose, and now he comes in with this thing like it just happened or something?
Besides the fact that Luna admitted she's never fixed a broken nose before, all she did was fix the bone in his nose. That does not fix the broken blood vessels.
What have I missed?
Sorting Hat urges all to be brave and strong in these troubled times.
Since when does the Sorting Hat have important things to say, and do anything other than tell people what house to go to?
Aside from the fact that this hat sings songs and had a conversation with Harry in year 2, These are troubled times, as Voldemort has returned to power and has been killing people. The hat is sentient. I would think it might have something to say about the current events.
And here's where I point out the avalanche of convenience that leads Harry to the Half-Blood Prince's book, capped off with the oh-so-clever, one old book, one new book standoff with Ron. F***ing bravo, you maestros.
But you didn't point out the avalanche of convenience. Pointing it out would be explaining why it is convenient in the first place, and as you have removed this scene from any context, I don't know what it is you think you're accomplishing here.
Only girls are inexplicably drawn to the love potion.
Because if it were the men that used this potion, people like you would have accused them of Let's just say our society has many double standards, and this is one of them.
Liquid luck. Desperately tricky to make, disastrous should you get it wrong.
But there is a way to make it, so why aren't there gallons of this shit? And let's say Voldemort had some of it, and Dumbledore had some of it. Who would the luck potion favor then?
Who says there aren't gallons of it? All you're seeing here is a teacher offering a reward to students, just like the pizza party your teacher promised if you did well all month. Just like that pizza party, this is a thing kids can't acquire easily, but adults most likely can. I can buy pizza every day if I wanted. Get me? As for who would be luckier, since they're both lucky, should they encounter each other in a fight, the luck would cancel out and the fight would come down to skill.
One sip and you will find that all of your endeavors succeed.
My only question is, the f*** haven't we heard about this potion or seen it used dozens of times already during the trials and tribulations these assholes have endured? And don't give me that it's tricky to make shit either, like this series has always done with rare magical items. Something this useful would have been mass-produced by now.
But that was the answer, that it's tricky to make and dangerous if you get it wrong. You can't just balk at the explanation the film gives and then say stupid shit like books don't matter. That expression means the film is what matters, but here you are, disregarding the film because of your own incredulity. What you should say is, everything is a sin because I say so and I don't accept answers to my questions. At least that would be honest. Anyway, there are a bevy of reasons why something like this wouldn't be mass-produced. First of all, we know for a fact the Ministry of Magic regulates magic to some extent. There is almost certainly a ban or restriction on how much can be produced, and Hermione states the potion is useless against powerful enchantments. Next, you need a potion's master to brew this dangerous potion, and we know there aren't many of those. Mass production implies automation, and if this series has been clear about one thing, it's that you need a wizard to produce these potions and brews. Lastly, and most importantly, Slughorn states that overuse of this potion is toxic and potentially renders it useless.
Crush it, don't cut it.
No, the instructions specifically say to cut.
And why is that? Was the book translated from Sanskrit or something? Why is the textbook's recipe wrong?
It's not wrong. Snape's recipe is simply better. That's the thing about magic in this universe. Gifted wizards can literally create or improve magic. In our reality, you can very easily learn how to fry chicken out of a book. But Big Mama down in Louisiana doesn't need a cookbook to fry some chicken. Get it?
Dumbledore's memory of his first meeting with Tom Riddle is so vivid he remembers a photograph of a place that just happens to be of major importance to the entire story.
Jeremy has failed to understand the concept of wizards being able to review their own memories with the aid of a pensieve. That is literally the point of this magical device, to allow you to revisit a memory that you may or may not remember very clearly.
Did I know I just met the most dangerous dark wizard of all time? No.
But how?
The fact that he was a child, maybe? I mean, this man was in love with and fought Gellert Grindelwald like 50 years prior to this. There was no way he could have known Tom would grow up to be worse than Colin Johnny Mads.
You see, Professor Slughorn possesses something I desire very dearly.
But I'm not going to say what it is yet because screw you. That's why.
Unlike you, Harry and the rest of the audience aren't abject morons. So when we watched a scene of Dumbledore's collection of memories where he stated he wants something, we understood that it's obviously a memory.
You said Professor Slughorn will try to collect me.
Yeah, what the f*** did you mean by that?
That, just like Lockhart, Slughorn's motivation is to teach famous or notable students. Those photos you were whining about earlier showed what that means.
Why does one team's Quidditch tryouts have such a large spectator turnout? And why is Hermione here instead of studying? I know she likes Ron in the romantic way, but...
And let me stop you right there, because you have just answered yourself.
Think you could introduce me to your friend Granger? Wouldn't mind getting on a first-name basis, know what I mean?
Dude, you're the handsomest guy in all of Hogwarts. You can't work up the courage to talk to Hermione? She's a little bunny, and you're a bear, and you're looking at these claws and these fangs, and you're like, how do I kill the bunny?
First of all, this is the handsomest guy in all of Hogwarts. But more importantly, Jeremy doesn't know shit about women. Trust me when I say your looks have almost nothing to do with your attractiveness to women. The things women look for are financial stability, assertiveness, emotional intelligence, and height. You got all of those things, you can look like the Birdman and still pull chicks.
Confund us.
Okay, first of all, here's the Harry Potter universe again, giving us the finger regarding the need for wands to do magic.
I just love the "again" you put into this sin. It's almost like you've all but rejected any explanation the films give for the questions you pose in these silly videos. They have shown you time and again that you don't need wands to produce magic. You literally just went over a scene with young Tom Riddle where he said he could move things without touching them, and you know damn well he hasn't been to Ollivanders yet. The fact that you said "again" is you acknowledging you understand wandless magic is a thing in these movies, but you're still questioning it. This is one of the reasons I don't give a shit about your "books don't matter" mantra. You literally don't accept what the film says either.
Does anyone fancy a butterbeer?
No, I've been to your Wizarding World and I had your butterbeer, and it's disgusting. Cream soda crossed with marshmallow crossed with 15 pounds of sugar. You turned sweet into a swear word.
Sinning butterbeer. Also, drinking the non-frozen one, like a rookie.
I want him not to touch it.
Major plot thing happens at the exact same time Harry and company leave the bar.
But wouldn't you have sinned this major plot thing if it happened and the protagonists weren't there to witness it?
None of these students with magical powers do anything while this girl is hovering in the air.
Shock and panic aren't just the names of comic book characters. Besides, you should never just do something because of an emergency. Your type of thinking is what happens when people try to throw water on an electrical fire because common sense says water douses fire.
Why is it when something happens, it is always you three?
Were you not briefed on how they were just minding their own goddamn business?
CinemaSins gets angry at Minerva for saying something they said a couple sins ago.
I think Miss Bell is lucky to be alive.
It's pretty lucky that every student at Hogwarts has survived every single attempted murder since year one. Might be because there's magic for everything.
Every single student? Did you just forget about the Batman? I mean, the Diggory?
If the monster existed, it was buried deep within.
Then why did you cast such a creepy kid to play Tom Riddle in the Dumbledore flashback? Seems to me the monster not only existed, but was right on the damn surface.
That's racist.
We're in the 6th movie, and Quidditch is somehow still a big deal. Like, Voldemort is out there and recruiting people and readying for war. But we still need to watch Quidditch matches in this movie.
And in the real world, there's an actual conventional war going on in Europe, but we're too busy talking about Will Smith and his wife, One Punch Man.
Have we seen Hermione and Ron joking with each other, touching each other, any kind of clue that they were attracted to each other? There's absolutely no chemistry between them. Just because a book or a movie says two people are going to be together doesn't mean the attraction was there all along.
What even is this sin? You are quite literally saying that these movies shouldn't follow the books because you were too blind to notice these two characters obviously have feelings for each other. This is the 6th movie. In the 4th, Ron and Hermione were fighting over Ron not asking her to the Yule Ball. In the 2nd film, there is obvious tension between Ron and Hermione, as demonstrated here.
Well, welcome back, Hermione.
In the 3rd, here is Hermione grabbing Ron's hand, something you said never happened. How the f*** does this video have 8 million views?
It's Ron Weasley.
Well, somebody married you after all.
Hey, she's only interested in you because she thinks you're the chosen one.
Okay, A, he is. And B, he's only interested in her because you just pointed her out as a possible date.
Actually, what she pointed out was that this chick had been trying to smuggle him the love potion and she's only been doing it because he's the famous Harry Potter. She's warning him, is what I'm saying.
I believe it was Snape in the earlier movie who somehow knew Harry was eavesdropping on the teachers outside Dumbledore's office, right? And said this conversation is no longer private, right? But here, no idea he's being listened to surreptitiously.
That's because that wasn't Snape. It was Moody. I mean, Barty Crouch Jr.
What happens if you break an unbreakable vow?
I thought the very meaning of the term was that you physically could not break it.
That one sentence said more about Jeremy and CinemaSins than I could with an entire video.
Perhaps Harry's right, Remus. I mean, to make an unbreakable vow...
These people can't just find out from Dumbledore that Snape's allegiance to his vow is part of his double cross. Is there any reason they don't have the understanding of this shit that Albus does?
As Snape explained earlier, Dumbledore has left the school grounds, so no, they can't just ask him what's going on. Snape being a double agent is vital information that, if leaked, could have lost the war against Voldemort. So, Albus killed 2 birds with 1 stone, protecting his student and preserving the cover of his double agent.
He's a vanishing cabinet.
A vanishing cabinet?
I know, right? Why haven't we ever heard of these things before? No franchise in history gets more mileage out of making shit up as they go along than this one does.
You sure about that? I'm pretty sure the Terminator, Star Wars, and Fast and Furious franchises have something to say about that.
But why would he tamper with his own memory?
Yeah, why stop at tampering? Surely there's a spell that could make you forget something completely.
There is. Hermione uses it in the next film, and you misunderstand it there too. But Horace doesn't want to forget. He wants to make it seem as if he was righteous in that moment instead of what he actually did, which was help Voldemort become nearly invincible.
And for the record, I've always found him interesting.
Love how all the teachers are just silently absorbing the teen romance drama unfolding in front of them, as though there aren't more important topics to discuss or things to do.
Actually, I find that to be one of the more charming aspects of this series, that the adults of this world allow the kids agency and the ability to make decisions that might even save the world.
Stop it, Ron. You're making it snow.
Now magic doesn't even have to be done on purpose to happen?
So, did you just miss the movie that you sent where Harry inadvertently blew up his aunt? Knowing you probably think he meant to do that.
Harry uses a spell he literally just read the name of in a book 5 minutes ago without knowing what it does. Hell, I'm surprised he could even pronounce it correctly on the first try, recalling his ridiculous butchering of Diagon Alley in the second film.
It's almost like he's 4 years older and more practiced with the faux Latin the magical community uses.
It's the wrong requirement.
Hide the Half-Blood Prince's book, where no one will ever find it, including you.
When you see Parallax in this room, you'll understand why this is a bad idea. Just destroy the thing.
Jeremy mentions Parallax cliché.
Merlin's beard. Misunderstood creatures spiders are.
Yeah, but in the Chamber of Secrets, this one in particular was going to kill Ron and Harry before the magic car came and saved them. I think these spiders are properly understood.
Well, Hagrid wasn't talking about Aragog specifically, as he said spiders, and I have to agree, spiders are supremely beneficial to humans as they keep other, more harmful bugs at bay, and they stop the Green Goblin.
That's where you've been going, isn't it, sir? When you leave the school.
Yes, and I think perhaps I may have found another.
F***ing what? You just said.
This is beyond anything I imagined.
So which is it, asshole? You either hadn't imagined it, or you've been investigating it for months.
Yeah, that was before Harry touched the ring, revealing that he is also a Horcrux, which is what Dumbledore was referring to with that line.
Well, sure, I'm glad that Voldemort kept a nice picture of this place in his orphan room that a memory somehow remembered.
That a memory somehow remembered. He seriously doesn't hear himself.
Harry.
What? How about casting the Aguamenti spell directly into his mouth? Or have him cup his hands? Oh well, I guess there are no options other than to drink the dirty cave water.
Which is exactly the point of the spell and one of the ways in which Voldemort has protected this locket.
Is this a good time to ask whether the Patronus charm is strictly for Dementors? Couldn't it help in this situation too?
Is this a good time to ask whether salt is strictly for salty foods? Couldn't it help in sweet situations too?
Snape is a dick to Dumbledore.
Are you a dick to someone that asked you to be a dick to them? I thought that was called porn.
27 seconds of logo.
Is that really long, though? I mean, when you think of it in terms of why your college ex-girlfriend left, it puts it into perspective.
Obliviate.
Aren't Hermione's parents, including Caitlin Stark, going to wonder why they set out so many empty picture frames? Or why the room upstairs has teenage girls' clothes and accessories throughout? And the other muggles who know for a fact they have a daughter?
The point of obliviating her own parents is to protect them during the Second Wizarding War. You can hear them mention Australia in this scene, which coincides with the book version of this movie. Hermione sends her parents to Oz, so no one cares about the picture frames and they have no neighbors to ask these questions.
Here's another movie character walking down the center of the damn road instead of either side. It makes for a more symmetrical shot, but also a more mathematically possible death.
Okay, but she obviously didn't die. I mean, what the hell is the sin here? That it was possible she could have been hit by a car? You know, it's mathematically probable to be involved in a car accident every time you drive a car, right? Wouldn't that mean it's a sin for you to do so every day? See how dumb this justification sounds?
Part 1.
Says the guy that split his Star Wars videos into multiple parts. And just like last time, 10 sins for splitting this video into 2 videos. It's a great strategy, I will admit, but getting people to click twice for what should be the same video? Only a Sith could come up with such a thing.
But Birdman, didn't you split your Eternals videos into 2 parts?
Sure did. Mine was due to a technical issue where the RAM in my PC crapped out and all I had ready was the first part, and I didn't know when my PC would be fixed for the rest. Jeremy double-dipped. Completely different situation.
As inspiring as I find your bloodlust, Bellatrix, I must be the one to kill Harry Potter.
Makes sense to me.
What's the problem? You have a dark magician who has set his red eyes on killing one of the Phoenix Enforcers. The hero and villain's duel is totally in the cards.
My wand and Potter's share the same core. We can wound, but not fatally harm one another.
What a bunch of bullshit. You make it sound like the wand is actually part of the owner's physical being. and that twin wands know not to kill each other, which can't be true. And besides, we've seen wizards using magic without wands this entire series, and the rules have never been explained once.
What do you mean it can't be true, Luke Skywalker? Do you think magic is real and that somehow your internal logic is what determines what is true or not? The film is telling you the rules right now. Priori incantatem has been a thing demonstrated in the film since the 4th movie.
If I am to kill him, I must do it with another's wand.
Movie makes this sound like a huge problem, when it should basically be, sure thing, boss, I'll just buy another one later.
As demonstrated in the first film, a wizard's wand is not only extremely important to them, it is also extremely personal, as the wand chooses the wizard. It's like saying, you had a miscarriage? Oh well, you can always make another.
You see, this scene pays off a lot more if the rules of wands were ever covered. Yeah, we get this is a big deal, and Voldemort taking Malfoy's wand means something. But that's the art of storytelling that was lost with the scene when the series decided against saying anything about it.
Ignoring old Voldy explaining it right now, are you forgetting you sinned the first Harry Potter movie? I know you skipped that part of the movie in your sins video, but you had to have seen the damn wand scene, right? They clearly show that a wizard's connection to the wand matters, as Harry's attempts at using other wands nearly destroys Ollivander's. In the second movie, Ron's wand breaks, and you complained about that too, wondering why Ron didn't just get another wand or why the school didn't have extras. All those context clues and you're still not getting it?
The very moment Harry decides to say goodbye to the house and leave is the moment everyone who wants to help him shows up.
No, there are a set of protections on this house that end on Harry's 17th birthday, which is why Harry had to return here every summer, something you've complained about in nearly every single Potter video. Everyone shows up to protect Harry because this was always and entirely the plan.
So we have to use those means of transport the trace can't detect. Brooms, thestrals, and the like.
The Ministry can't detect when an underage wizard uses flying brooms? Does that mean some normal-ass muggle motherfucker can get on a flying broom and make it work? Also, why didn't they just use a portkey? Or anything they used in the other chapters that Harry was able to use without the Ministry knowing or getting pissed about it?
Yeah, a no-mage could theoretically ride a broomstick, because the brooms have a charm on them allowing them to fly. The reason they didn't use a portkey is because portkeys are Ministry-approved items, meaning they know about the portkey in the first place. The Flu Network is also monitored by the Ministry. If the Order listened to you, Harry's ass would be as dead as Dumbledore.
You ride with Hagrid.
I brought you here 16 years ago, when you were no bigger than a bow truckle.
Doesn't Hagrid's connection to Harry make him the most likely target in case someone is watching? Can't the Ron Weasley Harry go with Hagrid?
Tell me, Jeremy, which of the Death Eaters would know about Harry's connection with Hagrid besides Snape, who is a double agent? You played and responded to this scene as if this is public information when Voldemort was in his aborted fetus state when that happened.
Why did all the fake Harry Potters ride out in the same goddamn direction as the real Harry Potter? Why didn't they scatter from the launch site?
It's almost like they're going to the same place or something. It's also almost like they did scatter but got ambushed or something.
Hedwig summons his inner eagle and shows up to save Harry. Only problem is, I don't remember Hedwig showing up for anything other than sending messages before this scene.
First of all, Hedwig is a female, so you meant her inner eagle. And second, are you really sending the fact that a pet is trying to help protect her owner? Ah, that's right. You own cats, so you wouldn't know anything about that.
Crossing the wand streams. Bet we won't see this a dozen more times or anything.
Sending visual magic in Harry Potter.
Wait a minute, that was literally Voldemort? And he can actually get caught in the power lines? God, man, what the hell is happening?
Bro, there is no way you watched this scene and came to that conclusion. Voldemort just lost a duel to Harry's wand, cracking Lucius's wand, and letting Harry escape. Voldemort's rage is what destroyed those power lines. He did not get caught in them.
Whoa, time fucking out. Why is this woman washing her own pots and pans? We've seen tons of explicit shots throughout these movies of magical self-scrubbing dish and cookware in the kitchen. So this shot is some bullshit.
It's actually very clever. 4 of Molly's children and her husband went on a mission where they absolutely could have been killed, and one of them loses an ear. She was clearly worried, and manually washing dishes demonstrates her level of anxiety.
What creature sat in the corner the first time Harry Potter visited my office in Hogwarts?
Jesus, man, that was like 4 movies ago. And Harry's not a great student. Are you going to kill him if he doesn't remember?
First of all, Harry is a pretty decent student. Where are you getting that he's a bad one? The only class he really struggles with is potions, and that's because Snape was objectively an asshole. But not everyone forgets something moments after they see it like you apparently do. If Harry forgot the creature, then Lupin would have asked him another question, like what the boggart turned into the first time Harry saw it, or what kind of food did Lupin give him while practicing the Patronus charm.
Weren't the glasses part of the potion costume? How come Ron still has Harry glasses on, but several other fake Harrys don't?
The glasses, like the outfits, were a practical part of the disguise because Polyjuice Potion does not magically create non-organic items such as glasses. Before the Battle of the 7 Potters, you can see they all received a pair of Harry's glasses. The reason George Harry didn't have his glasses on was because his ear got blown off by Snape. You kinda need ears to wear glasses.
Yeah, it's sad, but this family has spells to do the dishes, but not to heal the wounded.
George's ear was taken by Snape's Sectum Sempra curse, a powerful form of dark magic that prevents severed body parts from being recovered.
Mundungus took one look at Voldemort and disapparated.
Wait a minute, disapparate means the same thing as apparate? I feel like Dr. Nick when he finds out inflammable means flammable.
Apparition is the noun. The verb form is based on the perspective of the third party. If the viewer sees someone disappear, they've disapparated. If the viewer sees someone appear, they've apparated. It's exactly the same as going and coming. From the perspective of someone watching someone leave, they are going. From the perspective of your college ex-girlfriend, it's about 27 seconds.
To Ronald Bilious Weasley, I leave my deluminator.
Okay, so now the deluminator is something I would probably call an illuminator. What's with the weird anti-names? And couldn't you have just given him a flashlight?
Now this is completely different. This object's purpose is to remove light. It does not illuminate, as the light was already there.
The Reigns of Castamere isn't playing right now to signal the impending and shocking bloodbath.
Jeremy makes a pop culture
Hermione is definitely old enough to be hot now, right? Right?
She was 17 at the time of these events, and as you and I are living in states where that is not the age of consent, the answer is fuck no. Shame on you, East Coast.
Word has it that someone talked to her.
Jesus, what are the chances of Harry sitting down next to a newspaper columnist who just happens to be sitting close to a town gossip who just happens to know a name and location of a person Harry needs to see to advance the plot? At this wedding party that defies common sense. How would Harry have gotten this name any other way?
You mean the newspaper columnist that Harry saw in the paper you said you were too lazy to analyze?
Newspaper is so stupid and annoying, I don't even want to bother checking the articles for accuracy.
And the guy he specifically sat down next to in order to get this information in the first place?
Excuse me, sir. May I sit down?
Mr. Potter, by all means.
Movie rips off The Amazing Spider-Man, or inspires it, or shares storyboards with the production team.
Or a character not noticing something going on behind them due to headphones is a movie trope that has existed for longer than both these films?
By the way, what the hell magic spells are they using that don't require any fake Latin to work?
You have already seen a film where they showed a duel between wizards where the majority of the magic performed was non-verbal, which is something students learn in their 6th year. We're not entertaining these bullshit questions today, sir.
Obliviate.
Well, that's the second time that spell has needed to be used, but I can't help but think that this was invented specifically for this movie and to rip off Men in Black.
This is incredible. 2 straight sins and 3 in this video so far where this motherfucker blatantly forgot he's seen movies in this series where the things he's sinning has already happened before. In the second movie, you clearly saw that Lockhart tried to obliviate Ron and Harry with Ron's broken wand and it backfired on him.
What's that all about?
Probably Mad Eye's idea. In case Snape decided to come snooping.
If you say so, it clearly had you guys running out the door, so a master wizard like Snape would definitely have peed his pants and ran.
Couple things wrong with this. The first is that they wouldn't have run because that was clearly Dumbledore. The second is the group still thinks Snape is evil and are unaware he's been loyal to Albus this entire time. That spell was clearly for other Death Eaters who definitely would have been afraid.
Future romantic pairing makes 0 sense, given what I know about attraction.
And let me stop you right there.
Regulus Arcturus Black.
R.A.B.
You know, R.A.B. Surely you remember that from the quick glimpse of Harry's Hitchhiker's Guide to Horcruxes earlier in the movie. Or that brief mention of R.A.B. in the Half-Blood Prince that came out a year and a half before this one. You remember they were trying to figure out who that was, right? I gotta tell you something embarrassing. I completely forgot.
Wouldn't be the first time, Douglas Quaid.
Did someone take it?
He came in the night. He took many things, including the locket.
He doesn't really have an ape, but definitely a penis.
You sure about that? Also, Jeremy says boner.
Who was she? The witch, do you know?
No.
But this random newspaper on the floor does. I'm just going to sit down and relax because Harry's entire quest is going to be solved by plot bots.
Hold on. Umbridge was set up 2 movies ago. It is entirely in her character to confiscate the locket from Fletcher, and it's also entirely probable that she shows up in the newspaper given her status in the Ministry. That's like being upset that VP Harris is in the news.
Movie puts in the guy from The Departed, who you didn't know was also in Braveheart, and expects me not to be distracted by that.
Everything wrong with movies. Actors are in many of them.
It's still raining inside my office. That's 2 days now.
And there's absolutely no spell in the wizarding world that stops that.
But how do I stop it raining?
Try Fenitate Incantatem.
Because not even the asshole upstairs could figure out such an easy spell.
It's almost like Yaxley is an evil Death Eater and not a real member of the Ministry, so he doesn't know the kinds of spells the smartest witch at Hogwarts might know. How many times does Hermione have to prove that she's smarter and more studious than most people for you to get it? Oh, I remember. You've been too busy judging her attractiveness when she was a child to catch that.
I'm pretty sure this Albert dude isn't supposed to be in court, just from the elevator scene earlier when Dolores asked why he wasn't getting out. So now that he's drawing a wand, I'm wondering why there aren't a ton of paranoid witches and wizards instantly slinging disarming spells in his direction.
You're misrepresenting this scene. From Umbridge's perspective, Harry Albert just caught the husband of a traitor who is on trial at the Ministry. Umbridge has no reason to suspect Harry Albert, nor did anyone else in the room until he attacked her.
Because after all, Dementors can't get through elevator cages even if they're pretty much smoke.
And when have Dementors shown the ability to phase through things? Oh, never?
Knocked out real husband shows up just in time to see Weasley fake husband kiss his wife.
And you pointed out something on the screen. Why?
Again, what's the spell? Is it a stupefy spell? A kill spell? A speaking spell? And this guy has horrible aim, despite the fact that I feel like magic should be able to correct any deficiencies.
You and a lot of other YouTubers really need to learn the art of visual storytelling. You see, the movie shows you what kind of spells he actually is throwing at the heroes by showing him missing and hitting the wall, and that wall showing signs of damage. Clearly, this means whatever spell he is throwing at them is meant as a sort of concussive force. So you see, that's the reason the character is missing. For morons like you that absolutely need to know what spell he's shooting out of his wand in an obvious fight.
Hermione is on. What do you think she's asking you to get the medicine for?
Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
Where am I supposed to find a tent?
Again, this bag with a spell that makes it hold everything is somehow so useful you wonder why there are any conflicts in the magic world.
Yes, because the problems of Muggle genocide and pure blood supremacy are totally solved by a bead bag that can hold anything.
Defender! Reducto!
After a series of spoken spells, Harry then throws 3 unspoken spells at the amulet, illustrating my #1 problem with this entire goddamn series.
If this is the biggest problem in these films for you, please stay far away from Dragon Ball.
Better?
Right.
But it's my burden to bear, Samwise Gamgee.
Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't...
Here begins one of the most infuriating parts of the entire series. The Ron gets jealous of Harry and Hermione rigmarole. The entire part 1 will waste loads of time on this, and camping. If this movie had been a standalone film that didn't depend on every other part before it, it would have made £4 at the box office.
Jeremy is obviously not getting that when one wears the locket, which is a Horcrux, it draws out negative emotions of the wearer. That's literally the point of the scene where Jeremy made the Lord of the Rings pop culture reference.
In the Chamber of Secrets, you stabbed the basilisk with the sword of Gryffindor. Its blade is impregnated with basilisk venom.
Well, hot damn, that's convenient sanity.
Or it's something JK had been setting up since then? Look, I know you guys at CinemaSins have no idea what a story outline is, but you're talking about one of the most decorated authors of all time. You just admitted to being unable to remember shit from a couple movies ago. Have a seat.
Hidden words ex machina.
In a movie where we're dealing with literal magic, Jeremy continues to misuse Deus Ex Machina.
You know who almost died there?
Haven't you guys long been calling him Voldemort? No longer scared of the name?
Harry had been calling him that, not everyone else. But the point is that there is a spell called a taboo on Riddle's name, causing Death Eaters to appear whenever anyone says it, which is why Harry doesn't say it here.
It scares me a bit, that. Thinking it's a piece
No,
of...
don't say it. It's taboo, you know whose name. That's how they track people now.
How do you know that?
I overheard some bloke at the ministry talking about it.
So the plan was to turn the snake into Bagshot and then attack Harry once he got him into the house? First off, the snake is one of the Horcruxes, so that puts one of them in immediate danger. Second off, why don't you just have someone else be Bagshot, who could just Avada Kedavra Harry into oblivion?
At this point, Tom isn't aware they're destroying his Horcruxes. Once he does become aware, they show in part 2 he decides to keep Nagini by his side. And how many times does he have to state that he's the only one that gets to kill Harry? I mean, you heard him say that earlier.
A second Dear Jesus returns to Ex Machina the f*** out of this series even more. Need a break in the case, Harry? Here's the glowing deer of requirement.
Again, this is not a Deus Ex Machina. Snape, under orders from Dumbledore, is helping Harry here by showing Harry his mother's Patronus. Are you forgetting there's a war going on and that Snape is playing a double agent? And the next couple of sins are just Jeremy expressing his incredulity that the plot of the movie is happening. So I'm just going to skip this boring shit and point out that during that time he yells at the screen twice as well.
I've always liked these flames Hermione makes.
Me too. Oh, you meant the literal. Got it.
She's 17. 17, guys.
I think he knew that somehow I'd need it to find my way back, and she'd lead me.
If Dumbledore had that kind of foresight, he wouldn't be dead.
You're aware that Dumbledore is dead on purpose, right?
There were once 3 brothers who were travelling along a lonely, winding road at twilight.
Mum always said midnight, but Twilight's fine. Better, actually.
Ron betrays the Harry Potter series by saying Twilight is better. I bet he's even on Team Jacob, the bastard. Also, Ron is only in this movie to boost the runtime through buffoonery that is excessive even by Ron standards.
One could say the same about you in these videos.
Only when he attained a great age did the youngest brother shed the cloak of invisibility and give it to his son.
Wait, did the youngest brother f*** with the cloak of invisibility on? How did he get a wife when he was invisible? The youngest brother had some mad game.
Taking obvious allegories at face value.
The heroes touch a thing and are instantly whisked to a place.
Jeremy, they're holding hands and are disapparating. How do you fail at pointing things out on the screen?
Why are they running? Why not run together and apparate again? Why not use that spell you used in the first goddamn movie that turned Neville frozen? God, these movies drive me f***ing crazy.
That's because you're horrible at paying attention. They're obviously separated, meaning they cannot apparate, which was the point of the previous scene showing they needed to hold hands. They are also severely outnumbered, meaning they could try to fight but would obviously lose. Imagine being unable to comprehend a Harry Potter movie.
Once again, a magical person does not need to speak the spell out loud in order for it to work. And this one is extremely specific.
How many times does a movie have to explicitly show you that something is possible in that universe for you to stop questioning it? You would have me if this only happened once and never again, but if it's happening over and over, clearly it's a thing.
All bad guys are rapists.
Says the guy that has been sexualizing this kid for 7 films. That's like R. Kelly chiming in on the Cosby case and going, damn, bruh, I wouldn't have done that.
Give me a wand. We'll see what her last spell was.
Wands are f***ing iPhones now.
Actually, I agree with this end. That shit sounds ridiculous, but not as ridiculous as that laugh.
Well, good thing they keep a lantern handy down in the Malfoy dungeons.
Jeremy thinks lanterns wouldn't be useful in dungeons, which of course means that Jeremy would be bad at dungeoning.
Dobby is a free elf.
Because of that accidental sock loophole. I will never forget that bullshit.
Oh, so there are things you remember from the second film, eh? Then that means forgetting Lockhart using Obliviate, an actual part of the main plot, is extra sinful.
Why do they need Dobby's help apparating at this point? They have wands. They were doing it on their own earlier. The f***, man.
Jesus H. Christ. They are holding hands because the person apparating takes them to a specific place. If they didn't, they'd have no way of knowing where the other person went outside of saying their destinations aloud, which would kill the utility of running away in this manner.
Movie expects me to feel horrible for Dobby, and movie is wrong, because the movie is responsible for putting him in this situation.
That makes absolutely zero sense. This man just said that movies evoking an emotional response from its audience is sinful because the movie created the situation that caused that event. I'm sorry, but did I miss, in the history of storytelling, a story's events happening because of something set up outside of that story? What? Oh, it's my turn, I guess. I'll be narrating the next episode. Because there's 2 movies and there's 2 of us. Get it? You're probably also wondering why there's Japanese on the screen right now. That's because PB is a weeb. It means to be continued, and Arceus knows why he didn't just put that. Anyway, see you guys in a few.
Here's the ending of part 1 in case for some reason you decided, you know what, I think it's about time I went to my first Harry Potter movie when The Deathly Hallows Part 2 came out. It rehashes last movie's ending like we're not already pressed for time here.
1, it's barely a rehash considering all they're doing is reminding you he acquired Dumbledore's wand and the fact they skipped the creepy part of the scene where Voldemort was kiss distance. And 2, you just implied there isn't anyone watching this movie that hasn't seen the others, ignoring that the last movie came out 8 months prior, who was going to a Harry Potter movie pressed for time. You're speaking out of both sides of your mouth again. Either they're unfamiliar with Harry Potter, or pressed for time and needed the reminder, or they're familiar with Harry Potter and understand they're in for a 2-hour flick.
22 seconds of logo.
Which is less than the last movie. One would think you'd give credit where it's due, but considering how you've convinced your lemmings that you actually remove scenes for short logos, here I am again pointing out you don't.
Magical military marching formations.
You know we can see that too, right?
Finally, the conclusion to the half movie you watched nearly a goddamn year ago.
And here is the reason I went on that long-ass rant in the first sin. You are implying the first movie was a long time ago, but in the first sin, you said we didn't need the reminder of what happened. If both sides of your mouth were any wider, I'd think you were giving a double blowjob.
Harry and friends forget to etch Dobby's ex machina accomplishments on his tombstone. Yep, they can use magic to engrave the headstone, but not to bring Dobby back to life. Oh well, f*** Dobby.
Amazing. You just complained about Deus Ex Machinas in relation to Dobby, and then the very next thing you criticized the film for is not producing a Deus Ex Machina. You know, because aside from the huge, not really, that is the Resurrection Stone, bringing someone back from the dead through magic has never once been shown as a possibility in this universe, meaning it would be a true Deus Ex Machina. You fucking idiot.
They're holding the goblin prisoner in this room, but probably didn't even bother to explain to him how the 4 seashells work.
PB, I'll let you take over these stupid things as I'm over-repeating myself. No problem, FB. Jeremy makes a Demolition Man pop culture reference that isn't a sin of the movie cliche.
How did you come by this sword?
It's complicated.
Every time someone asks Harry how he got his sword, he tells them it's too long or too complicated a story to tell. But all he has to say is, a hologram deer showed me the way, and in the magic world, I guess that would earn a respectful nod.
It's obviously far more complicated than that, considering Harry doesn't know how the sword ended up in the river in the first place. But I guess we're pretending you wouldn't send even that explanation, especially because it doesn't explain anything anyway.
The sword presented itself to us in a moment of need.
We're still debating why that bastard sword waited so damn long in our moment of need. We can't—
Let's stop. Harry just explained to Griphook how he got the sword, and you're ignoring that this contradicts your previous sin. That's the sin.
Also, is this a good time to ask why this sword was ever created in the first place? Godric Gryffindor actually said to himself, "Magic, magic everywhere, but I need a sword to kill some fools."
We good here?
Are you thinking this Horcrux and Bellatrix's fault?
In the last movie, Bellatrix went crazy trying to figure out how they got into her vault, which leads Harry to make a somewhat ridiculous leap that there might be a Horcrux in there too. This is all because Snape put a fake sword of Gryffindor in her vault, for reasons I will never begin to understand. Sure, Voldemort might have said, "We need to get that sword." It has basilisk venom on it after the events of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, but he has shown time and time again that he's not that forward-thinking or careful or observant.
Just like you, apparently. Snape puts the fake sword in Bellatrix's vault to gain the trust of Voldemort. At this time, Death Eaters were in control of the Ministry and would have seen that Dumbledore left the sword to Harry in his will, hinting at its importance. Snape puts the actual sword in a safe place and the fake one in the vault to divert attention from the real one, which has the capability to destroy Horcruxes. As I told you in the previous video, Harry is not stupid. Bellatrix just spent the climax of the previous film interrogating them, clearly afraid they discovered something else. If Tom entrusts Bellatrix to guard something like the sword, then it's not that big a leap to believe there might be something else more valuable in her vault.
This was the wand of Draco Malfoy.
Was. Is it not still?
Well, perhaps not, if you won it from him.
Now, in the 8th movie, the series finally explains why using other people's wands can be difficult.
That's because this detail is important to this film's plot. I will never understand people demanding explanations for things that aren't crucial to understanding the story that's being told, and then calling them plot holes. Internet movie discourse was a mistake.
You know one exists. You told him about it.
Part 1's pronoun game usage set a world record, and Part 2 drives it into overkill. I don't even care if he can refer to only one person.
Now you're cheating. Whenever you invoke the pronoun game, what you're saying is the person listening has to ask who is being referred to, which makes using a pronoun redundant. But here, you know there is an issue with saying Smoldemort's name, and you know they both know who Harry is referring to.
Where in the f*** did they manage to get a Bellatrix hair?
Into my vault! Who stole it?
You mean this hair? Dude, aren't you married? All every girlfriend I've ever had to do was breathe and their hair would be all over me.
Madame Lestrange, would you mind presenting your wand?
And why should I do that?
Instead of just presenting Bellatrix's real wand, which they have, they go with the "these aren't the droids you're looking for" plan, which granted works, but still, overcomplicated plan is overcomplicated.
You ain't paying attention. They know Bellatrix's wand is missing. If Hermiatrix produces it, they will know that isn't the real her. Put 2 and 2 together, numbnuts.
Imperium. Very well, Madame Lestrange.
We're in the magic world where people can change into other people and do all sorts of magic spells. So it's weird that this goblin behind the guy who just got roofied decides, well, this story seemed like bullshit to me, and my boss demanded the wand and completely changed his mind for no reason, but f*** it. They don't pay me enough to argue. Also, wouldn't that mind control spell come in handy a number of times previous to and succeeding this occasion?
It's like this man took stupid pills and forgot about the 4th movie explaining this is one of the 3 unforgivable curses that will land you in Azkaban.
Ah, Smaug!
Don't you mean Fafnir?
They've added the Gemino curse. Everything you touch will multiply.
And that's their last defense? Thing multiplication?
Sounds easy, until you realize not only can you no longer find the thing you're trying to steal, but you're also being buried under 1 billion pieces of metal slowly suffocating to death. You know, like me.
Also, why isn't this damn thing behind a series of magical curses and defenses? You know all those protection charms they keep putting around themselves in Part 1? Why not those, plus some murdery ones?
Asks why they don't have a series of magical protections after not only having shown multiple magical protections, but also currently showing one of those magical protections.
Who's got an idea?
I have one. Apparate somewhere not here.
You just suggested they have the ability to teleport in and out of a magical bank.
And none of the Muggles saw the obvious dragon destroying roofs and flying over London, because Muggles are the least f***ing observant species on the planet in these movies.
So you're a Muggle then? Because we have been shown time and again that Muggles do see these events but have their memories erased.
Oh, there's more. One of them's at Hogwarts.
Harry's connection to Voldemort is actually a cool plot point that has been developed well over the series, but only just now does it tell Harry where the next Horcrux is, because they had no idea where to go after the bank heist.
Because it wasn't until now that Voldemort learned of their campaign against his soul tokens.
I'm fine with 2 naked male torsos.
And we're going to go ahead and skip this because you know where the fuck he's going with this.
You're the one who sent Dobby.
With the amazing timing of a plot convenience, I might add.
A plot convenience? What do those words even mean? What does plot hole mean? You've dumbed down these words and have emboldened all these so-called critics on the internet with this bullshit, and now these phrases are meaningless. There was literally a scene in the previous film showing Harry asking Aberforth, who he thought was Albus, for help, and he sends the elf to help them. How is that a plot convenience? Because that allowed the protagonist to escape a situation? Wouldn't that mean every single time a protagonist solves a problem, it's a plot convenience? See how this shit doesn't make any sense?
I don't remember this on the Marauders map. That's because it never existed till now.
So, a magical painting of Dumbledore's sister just dug a secret tunnel to Hogwarts. That I am totally down with and have no questions about. What I am concerned with is why this kind of magic couldn't have been used in so many other situations before this. But I guess I should just expect it by now.
This man is so that he believes the painting is what dug this tunnel out instead of the room of requirement.
Sure, the guy who's supposed to be incognito right now. Let's cheer and clap when he shows up. That can't possibly raise suspicion.
Again, this is the room of requirement. No one outside of the room can hear the events going on in the room, as they would have been exposed 2 years ago when they were practicing spells here.
Again, here's some awesome magic being conducted without a wand. Wands are important, then they aren't, depending on what the story needs.
This moron still can't understand that wands are a conduit that allows a wizard to focus their magic. Actually, this moron probably doesn't know what the word conduit even means.
Lead Miss Parkinson and the rest of Slytherin House from the hall.
Where is it? I'll be leading them to, Mom.
The dungeons would do.
Patriot Act. Also, this goes back to what we said a long time ago about Slytherin House. If you're picked by the Sorting Hat to go there, you're basically being told you're an evil person. And in this case, it's all the Slytherin.
The point is that in this case, everyone in Slytherin actually sided with evil. I don't know what everyone's problem is with accepting that Slytherin is representative of evil in these stories. That's clearly what JK was trying to get across. No one cares that you got sorted into Slytherin on Pottermore, fangirl. In the books, Slytherin houses the antagonists of the series.
Hogwarts is threatened! Man the boundaries! Protect us!
Fuck me. Hogwarts had a statue army this whole time and never once used it all the times Hogwarts needed protecting?
Do us a favor. Name all the times the school needed protecting from Sorcerer's Stone until now.
Also, super powerful looking force field spell makes its first appearance in the final f***ing battle, despite appearing to be the perfect spell for several previous perilous incidents.
This is literally the same spell you saw Hermione cast in the previous movie, and you complained about it then too.
Are there any rules concerning the protective enchantments these wizards are always putting up around themselves? Can they be broken? Or do they just delay a surprise attack? They didn't matter at the Weasley house earlier.
See? Stupid pills.
Kelly MacDonald isn't my ghostly girlfriend, or having my ghost babies, or allowing me to play Egon Spengler with my fully functional proton pack in this scene.
Jeremy says boner.
Ron can speak Parseltongue because finale.
Harry talks in his sleep.
F*** you.
I was gonna let this slide. Until you played Ron's explanation, which is a perfectly good one considering the amount of times Harry has been shown to talk in his sleep due to his connection with Tom Brady, or whatever his name is.
Kingsley's spell is exactly the same bullshit that turned Jessica Alba and the others into the Fantastic Four.
You say this like that Fantastic Four wasn't excellent casting. I mean, yeah, Chris Evans was a great Captain America, but he was a dope Human Torch too. And I mean, look at Alba in this costume, yo.
So I guess Harry really needed to get into this rumor requirement, but then so did these assholes following it. Whatever, I guess, but it seems like the rumor requirement's just taking all comers at this point.
So we're sending a non-biased thing for being non-biased now, eh? I guess nuance is no longer the currency of the realm.
Why didn't you tell her?
Who's her?
His mother, you bird brain. Like, did you forget you sinned the previous movie? And if you needed a refresher, why did you complain about the movie doing that in the first sin?
Don't be a brat. To him.
If by do him you mean make love to, then that's probably okay in Voldemort's book. But you cannot kill Harry Potter because of the stupid rule that only he can kill him. So this scene just got robbed of its tension. How does it feel?
He says about a movie that's based on a book where the conclusion was known roughly 4 years before this movie came out.
Oh look, brooms! Right when we need them!
Room of requirement.
We don't know any spells that work against giants. Run!
The implication is that magic doesn't affect giants much, if at all. This is precisely why Ron, Hermione, nor Harry thought to attack the giant with magic. Didn't you do the homework? This was on page 493.
While you live, the Elder Wand cannot truly be mine.
We've seen Voldemort doing all sorts of magic with this wand, but because it's resisting him, he decides to kill Snape, believing that the wand will truly be his after that. But then what? What is it that he can't do right now that he could do with a more compliant wand? This is the more power problem at work, because the movie can't sufficiently tell us what more power means.
It's almost like you don't realize this movie is part 2, meaning there is a previous part that explains this. No-Nose is trying to kill Harry, and his multiple attempts at doing so failed. He believes it's because he needs the Elder Wand. I mean, these movies hold your hand explaining this multiple times. Why the fuck don't you understand this?
Man, if only I knew which Weasley this was, I might feel a bit bad about this.
Sinning the death of Fred Weasley? That's worth these many sins.
Snape's tears posthumously absolve him of any wrongdoing, so the audience, Harry, won't hate him.
Jeremy points out things on the screen cliché.
Sorting Hat is a dick to Snape's love life.
Because he's from Tennessee, Jeremy thinks you can only date someone from your own house. Alright, dude, that was 3 in a row. This is my video, remember?
Hi, I'm Lily.
Let's get married later and rub Snape's face in our love.
Alright, fuck it. Go ahead, PB. Jeremy yells at the screen cliché.
Voldemort based his plot to kill Harry Potter on this witch's prophecy. And as likable as she is, she's awful at predicting, and it's incredible he took her so seriously.
Trelawney didn't just make a prediction, she made a prophecy. In Harry Potter, those are accurate.
A part of Voldemort's soul latched itself onto the only living thing it could find.
What? Since when does Horcrux manufacturing work that way? Every single Horcrux Harry has destroyed has been inside some sort of object, not a living thing.
I love the slick wording you're using there. Notice Jeremy says, every single Horcrux Harry has destroyed, as if Dumbledore is talking about every Horcrux Harry has destroyed. He worded it that way to avoid talking about Nagini, a Horcrux that is alive. This is pure dishonesty.
Also, I don't know if we sent it before. Probably did, but f*** it. This spell Lily put on Harry should have been cast on every damn person at Hogwarts before this battle started.
Yes, you have said this before, and like Present Birdman told you, this kind of magic requires someone to die. You just ask for half the fighting force to kill themselves.
Man, Hogwarts is trashed. I guess I should feel lost, but I know they'll use the same spell that fixed the Weasley's house, so I guess the destruction isn't anything I should really care about.
Yeah, so why the fuck are you pointing it out? It's not like the film is saying you should feel sorry for the castle, so what even is this sin?
You've been so brave, sweetheart.
Actually, that's all he's been. All 8 movies, bravery is really the only heroic characteristic he's displayed. All the solutions have either been found by his friends or handed to him on an ex machina platter.
Ignoring that this isn't even true, are you agreeing with the movie and still sinning it? Pretty sure we have a cliche for that.
I guess it would have caused some serious spirit world marital discord if Snape had been allowed into Harry's People Who Loved Him reunion.
Especially because Snape didn't love Harry.
It's at times like these when I wonder why Voldemort doesn't do that throat-slitting thing he did to Snape. Seems like he'd be unable to recover from that. Although, to be fair, Harry shouldn't be able to recover from this either. So it goes.
Probably because A, the throat slit wasn't what killed Snape. That was Nagini. And B, Harry is like 24 feet away from him right now. I don't know, just a thought.
Wow, Magic Heaven looks fake as shit. Speaking of Magic Heaven, do they have their own separate heaven from the Muggle one? Because if so, even God's racist in this universe.
If he existed, I'm sure God would also be racist in our universe, but that's a topic for a different time.
Well, that's f***ing disgusting. Makes you wonder what's going on in Magic Hell.
Considering this is a fetus, I'm sure the people that repealed Roe v. Wade will be happy to tell you when they get there.
Help will always be given at Hogwarts, Harry. To those who ask for it.
Unless you're Harry Potter in the first 7 movies, of course.
Except, didn't you say this earlier?
You've been so brave, sweetheart.
Actually, that's all he's been. All 8 movies, bravery is really the only heroic characteristic he's displayed. All the solutions have either been found by his friends or handed to him on an ex machina platter. Why isn't this asshole 3,000 miles?
I'd just like to point out something I started doing years ago and people don't seem to understand why. Notice the sin counter doesn't change even though CinemaSins ding the ding.
Why isn't this asshole 3,000 miles?
I began doing this as a way of pointing out they sometimes don't update the sin counter, but somehow people still don't get it. You fucking idiots.
There's a basilisk fang, so why did he tell Dumbledore he had nothing to kill the last Horcrux with?
The snake's still alive, and I've nothing to kill it with.
Because he didn't have the fang at that time. You cut out the scene right before this where Hermione gave him the fang.
Man, this Elder Wand just won't obey Voldemort, will it?
It's because he's not its master, and you already know that.
I'll start with that. I'm working my way up to more dangerous things, but you get the point.
Hermione is throwing rocks at the snake to get its attention and separate it from Moldavort, not kill it.
The deleted scene includes the part where the mice eat all the pieces, and then the cats eat all the mice. Director said that's overkill. Also, Mama Weasley so easily dispatches Bellatrix that I'm not sure whether to be impressed with Mama Weasley or disappointed at the supposedly historically badass Bellatrix.
So you understand that the films have been showing Bellatrix as a badass, but you can't understand that the goal here is to show that Molly is even more badass? Dude, I'm concerned about how you poop without missing the toilet.
Neville Ex Machina, or is it Longbottom Ex Machina? Whatever sounds dumber.
I damn near removed a sin for you recognizing how dumb you sound. Then I realized, you don't realize how dumb you sound.
Harry does the right thing.
Jeremy gives the movie a sin for something he unironically agrees with. I'm almost certain we have a cliche for that.
Hermione's kids are a reminder that Hermione and Ron had sex at least twice.
Sounds like jealousy to me, which is weird considering she's in her mid-30s here. We all know you like them young. All was well. Well, guys, that's going to bring us to the end of the mainline Harry Potter series. I had a lot of fun making this series for you guys, as did my guy, Future Birdman, over there hanging in the cut, who apparently is inside the Gryffindor common room yet again. But before we go, I'd like to share a passage out of the book, and it's special because I have the world's only copy of this version of Deathly Hallows. You see, J.K. wrote in this book a poem on the last page, and I'm going to read it for you guys because I think it's very relevant to this series. So here we go. The poem is called These Slytherin Niggas Always Be Crying. These Slytherin niggas always be crying, but say nothing when their housemates cause all the dying. They'll cry, just to be fair, Slughorn was a square, and I'll say, that doesn't mean he wasn't trying. You know, because he was collecting people, and that's problematic. You know, just like Ezra Miller. So, as always, fuck Slytherin.